All right, welcome in everybody to the Gaming Outpost podcast here with theChurch.digital. We're hanging out with Papa Tsunami today, who wants to devote all of the time to the conversation that we're going to have and not get distracted by anything else. So he's just on our channel, so you're going to have to catch it later if you missed it. But it's going to be a great conversation. I'm so looking forward to this, buddy.
Me too. I'm very excited to chat, tell a little bit of my story, and again, stay focused, because man, I have a hard time staying focused sometimes, and it's something I'm really working hard on. God's really testing me. My priorities got to get straightened out.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my audio here, and it doesn't look like it's like it normally is. So I'm going to check earbuds here a second. Good. Make sure it sounds okay. I had been doing this to begin with, of always doing that, and now that I get it right most of the time, I kind of go, I don't need to. It looks like I probably should do that today, so give me a second here.
I totally get that. There's so many times where there'll be like a Windows update or something updates, and I'm like, everything's going to be fine.
Followed.
Yep. Hey, Zach Daddies, thank you for the follow, friend.
And then because I don't check one little setting, everything falls apart, which is fair.
Oh yeah. Well, and
the one time.
Yeah. Well, and then I've done that. I did this not too long ago. I pull up a window to check that the other person's live, forget that I have the window open, and I'm getting a double feedback loop of like, why do I hear you twice? Why do I have an echo?
I've done that too many times. Streaming all these years, and you think you never do that again, but then and everybody's like, why am I hearing multiple voices? And for me, sometimes I won't have like my browsers routed through my headset, but they're routed through stream. I'm like, you're crazy. I'm not hearing voices.
Oh yeah.
And then
there's
and then
all of that stuff. Yeah. Hey, Zach Daddies, thank you. Welcome. Hello, gents. How very polite of you to call us gents. Appreciate that.
Zach's awesome. He's been supporting me for a very long time.
Okay.
He also is part of of a retreat that comes out to the camp and brings the youth group out. He helped us out with some photography for the disaster from the tornado. He's a good guy.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. I love the juxtaposition of people that you know in person, people that you know online. When there's an intersection of those things, it's just really cool and exciting where all that overlap happens.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because like in person, I'm not normally as outrageous as I am online. I'm a little goofy in person, but I really cranked the personality up for the internet just to be a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more, I guess. Just entertaining is the best word I can say.
Yeah.
Not so boring. Because if it was just me being just the chill self I normally am, where I can sometimes be a little goofy, I'd be boring compared to how I am now or how I normally act. Well, in person, I'm very mellow.
Yeah, and I think I hear people at times talk about how that's not genuine, but it is. It's one facet of who you are. So if you're doing it for just likes and follows, well, then maybe it's not genuine. If you're playing a character that you go offline and you leave it behind, then it's not genuine. But if it's just one aspect of who you are when you're hanging with friends and when you're playing games, then it can be totally genuine and be different from what you would see otherwise. Like, for instance, like if you see me anywhere except behind the pulpit, I have a hat on, and so does that mean I'm fake when I'm behind the pulpit because I don't put a hat on? No.
I can't imagine you without a hat. Oh no. I don't need that image in my head. You gotta have the hat. You've had the hat forever. How long have you been collecting your hats?
7th grade was the first one I got. 7th grade.
It's a long time.
I know. I really wish, I don't know what happened to that one. I really wish I had that one still. It was this really awful banana yellow, but yellow's my favorite color. So I don't know how to describe it other than an awful banana yellow. So that was my first one. And then it took like years to find another one. It's not like you just go to the corner store and find them. You
Yeah.
had to kind of go to the secondhand thrift shops to find them until this century. I couldn't find them. Like they were
Man.
super hard to come by. So I don't think I have it here. I think it's upstairs. My oldest and dearest one that I do have is probably since 2001. So it is a good 25 years old, and it is worn so bad. And I'm not giving that sucker up. That sucker is treasured, to say
It's
the
almost
least.
as old as me. Oh my. It's real close. I'm 29. It's right there. This hat's been around the world for a while. Oh man. No, that's awesome.
I do have one that's probably older than you. It's over on my shelf. It was my dad's hat. It's not the same style I wear, but it means something to me because it was his. So,
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
Yep. So, I love the uniqueness of everybody, and it's so fun to. I mean, man, we had a blast at Reach Conference hanging out.
Oh yeah.
The chances that we got to. Banana Zahana, sorry, thought you were going to your own channel. You were waiting to snag first. Must be chatting at you, or is she chatting at me?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, at me. Since I want to be focused on you, I thought I was going to stream on my channel, but I really want to make sure I'm giving you all my attention. So I want that. Again, that's just me. I know my weaknesses. I know where I get distracted.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that I'm focused in this moment and answering questions, because who knows, my story or where I've been, what I've gone through, it could help somebody who's going through a block of their own right now, going through a hard time of their own.
Absolutely.
And I want to make sure that I'm being respectful of your time and being respectful to my thoughts that God places on my heart.
Yeah.
So,
hey, do you often when you go live have an announcement in your Discord that says, hey, you're live? If you wanted to maybe just put a little note there that says, hey, here's where you're going to catch the live if you're looking for me on the channel. That might be helpful for people.
Yes, I went ahead and I sent a notification and
Okay.
told people we're on the Church Digital Twitch page if they need to swing by or would like to swing by.
Awesome.
So
awesome. Just thinking you had a couple of people coming in looking for you, and you're like, I thought you were here. Well, I do this. That same thing happens to people too when they're coming in looking for Flat Cap Dapper Pastor, and I'm over at the Church Digital. But I do that because this is the podcast section. My Bible study is over there.
Yep.
My bicycle riding is over there. My cooking streams are over. Like all of my shenanigans are over there. Here, we're just hanging out and when we're chatting with friends and learning about how did God bring you to the place where you are right now and what you're doing. So I refer to my friends who are doing things to be salt and light in Twitch as digital missionaries. You don't have to give yourself that label. You may not like that label. But it's just helpful for me to think through. A missionary is someone who goes into a space, studies the space, and then reaches out to people with the love of Christ. And so that's how I like to identify myself and other people in the space.
And I would agree. Sometimes it's a bit intimidating to even consider myself an online missionary or in general just somebody to that stature, because that's a huge responsibility. And I think a lot of like Christian streamers, younger Christian streamers, no matter how old they are, but if they've just started out streaming, some of them don't realize how much responsibility that's on our shoulders. We're being held to a high standard at that point, which, oh man, it really can.
But we really
sometimes
we really are all called to be witnesses. So
absolutely.
I'm trying to, and I know where your heart is and where you're coming from, of the respectfulness and the responsibility. So I'm not trying to diminish that. But one of the things that I'm coming from a different spot is people don't think they can do it unless they have the title that says they can do it. And I want to break that barrier down, because if you are salt and light, I want to acknowledge you are fulfilling the Great Commission, which is what every believer and disciple of Jesus and follower is supposed to do. So I'm going from one thing to highlight. You're coming from another thing. I love that. I love that. We're both coming at it from a different place.
And it's you're absolutely true. Speaking truth, when it comes to people who don't want to be called a missionary because they haven't felt like they've earned that title, they haven't gone overseas, they haven't done this or that. I remember friends growing up that would go to Jamaica or tropical places for mission trips. They would only do a mission trip or missions for maybe a day, and they'd be there for a whole week.
Oh,
And they felt like it was fake. They're like, we're only doing missions for 1 or 2 days. And the rest is just a vacation. This doesn't feel right. And I remember like being 16, 17 years old and hearing this from friends who got to afford to pay for this mission trip. And when they came back, and it just jump started a whole thing at my churches growing up where they're like, we're not supposed to, these are teenagers talking to adults saying, we're not supposed to go on a vacation. We're here to help people in those areas. And that was a huge change. So I think for some people, they get scared. They're like, I don't have any form of missionary license. I don't have any form of certifications, trainings, when all the training you honestly need is biblical training and faith and trust in God. You're not going to be perfect at it when you first start. I know I wasn't, but if you allow God to work through your heart and you're patient with him and patient with yourself, you'll get to that point where you will be salt of the earth and light onto the paths for others. And so definitely, I've heard that several times where people get intimidated because they feel like they haven't deserved a title like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And like I said, that's why I just clarify at the beginning, like, I don't care what people call themselves. This is my perspective as I see people living into and living out God's calling in their lives. So with that in mind, how did you get started on Twitch? I mean, first, if it was separate from, hey, I just knew immediately when I was on Twitch I was supposed to be doing ministry. So how did you get started? And then what was the shift for you into deciding ministry could happen on Twitch with you?
So this would be about 10 years ago. I've been streaming for nearly 7, but about 10 years ago, I stumbled upon a game called Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. And me playing the game, I wanted to get better at it. I was really drawn to it. I really liked the teamwork aspect of it and the tactical shooter aspect. I just loved the war strategies involved. And I knew the only way I could get better was watching people who were better than me.
Yep.
So at the time, Twitch was, I think, I can't remember quite when Twitch changed from Justin TV to Twitch, but it was around that time where Amazon just got a hold of it and it got changed to twitch.tv. And I started watching Siege streamers online. And that got me into the streaming space. I started, I was a freshman in college and I had a lot of free time because I was so used to early morning classes and I didn't want to have to get a job if I didn't have to because I wanted to relax a little bit. And so I would watch Siege streams after I got all my schoolwork done. I'd be playing Siege and I'd be practicing. And I got drawn into the Twitch communities of the Siege communities back then. I was involved in several of those channels at the time, modded for 1 or 2 of them, a huge active chatter in all of them. But I was really just a chatterbox in Twitch chats at the time. Now I wasn't necessarily probably the best Christian example because I just was focused on a video game at that time. But I had recently started revamping my faith with God and returning back to him. And in one of those streams, one of the streamers that I had been watching for nearly 2 or 3 years, somebody brought up God in the chat and he said, "Hey, I'm not here to believe in your fantasy and your imaginary friend. If you're going to talk like that, leave my stream." And I'm a mod for him.
Yeah.
And I reached out, respectfully, and I said, "Hey, I know you may not believe in God, but I do. And I know I'm not the best example of a Christian, and you may not have had the best examples of Christianity and in Christ in your life, but I would appreciate you having a little bit more respect for us." This streamer has had at the time probably 400 or 500 average viewers, which was amazing back then in the starting phases of Twitch. And he instantly demodded me and said, I'm not going to be reading your chats ever again. I don't want anything to do with anything that you believe in. And that hit. I was a mod for this guy.
Yeah.
And was a part of this community for such a long time. And it hurt So for a while, I stayed away from just live streams in general. I stopped watching all the R6 streamers that I watched. In the meantime, I had started dating my now wife, and eventually we got married. And a few of my friends had always joked about starting a stream together, starting community together for YouTube. And I ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I actually started streaming, not on Twitch, but on, oh gosh, the other one on Xbox. I forget the meme of it. It was the one that Ninja got signed to, and then it closed out. A lot of streamers lost their communities there and had to run back over to Twitch. But I started streaming there for a little bit, and real Mixer. Yes, I started streaming on Mixer. I started kind of getting a couple of viewers on there, and next thing you know, I realized I'd get better quality on Twitch than Mixer streaming through my Xbox, because that's all I had at the time. And so I switched to Twitch, and slowly but surely got to affiliate, and that's how I started. It went from not being in the best place of my spiritual life to being involved heavily in big Siege creators, to realizing what I'm missing out in my life with God, returning to that, and realizing there needs to be a change.
Yeah.
All right. See, you may know Siege is known for a very toxic community. Most PvP games, most really sweaty or competitive games are very toxic communities. They have everything to them is a joke, and they can say whatever they want. They just want to hurt somebody's feelings or trigger them or rage bait them. That's all they want.
Yeah.
And
well, if they do that, they get you off your game, and they're going to defeat you. So
yes,
it's trash talking to the extreme. I was in sports. Most of the stuff that I did was, wrestling. So it's one-on-one. So there's not a lot of trash talk in there, but there's a lot of bravado that's there. And so, I know exactly what you're talking about I want to bring all of this. And if I can get an edge by calling your girlfriend something or your mother something or your sister something, I'm going to take advantage of anything I can in that arena. So it's no wonder it would just transfer over into competitive, esports from sports.
Yeah. And with Siege, it's definitely one of those first person shooters that you really have to learn it. It's very tactical. You have to know the ins and outs of your maps, of your operators that you play. And so the community really bullies new players, and in general, they'll bully you if you have a bad game, right? And that just bothered me. I'm like, why is this the regular? Why is this the norm for Siege? Why can't we just have fun? Sure, we can have a little bit of banter. Competition is healthy as long as we're being healthy about it and being respectful. Competition is good. It helps us strive to be better and build each other up if you're using it correctly. And I'm like, we can have that, but we can get rid of all of this hate and this anger. Because I know personally, I lived that life of hate and anger online. And everybody always says, oh, it's just an online persona I have, in life, in real life, I don't act like that. I'm like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Or you're very short, or you're wanting to say something, but you're saying something else. You're still thinking it, and you've still acted that out in your head, which means that you want to do it. And so, I'm trying to be that light in that space, because I was a part of the darkness in that space, was really the reason why I wanted to start streaming it. Honestly, I just wanted to see if I could do it. That's also one thing. It's like, can I actually do it?
Can I actually do the thing that I wish was out there? That's a cool thought. That's a cool thought. Just going back, and maybe you haven't been able to, the guy that you were modding for, so you say that was like 10 years ago. Have you come across or run into him or bumped into him since then, where you've been able to reach out or engage or, do anything as far as, hey, you planted a seed, maybe you never get to water it, maybe you never get to see anything grow, but I'm just wondering if there was any chance that you've bumped into him since then.
I did attempt to reach out again.
Okay.
I attempted because he was having a tournament, like a 1v1 or 2v2 tournament within the Siege community, and he was willing to bring in small content creators for it. Well, because he remembered who I was from previous DMs, he didn't even respond to me.
Okay.
So I tried once. Have I tried since then? Now that was probably about 6 years ago. I haven't tried since then. He's just gotten to be a bigger following, more people, and he just doesn't pay attention to those types of messages anymore.
Yeah. And I wasn't making the assumption that you were reaching out because he'd already demonstrated he wasn't going to respond to you. Yeah. I was thinking maybe you both ended up in the same place or on the same stream, and there was an opportunity, because you never know how God weaves things back around. Hey, not Nick Cage, welcome in.
Yes, and from what I remember, I don't think I bumped into him on any other streams. I wish I could. I mean, honestly, maybe that's something I need to pray about, is see if an opportunity with him would pop up again. And it's one of those things. I used to say who it was years ago because I was mainly just trash talking him, and I realized that's not right. Yep. And in the end, it just is going to cause unnecessary drama. So it's best to just keep it simple. Yep. Be respectful to him, because it's how I would want to be treated. And so, I need to pray about that more and see how he's doing. Maybe 6 years has changed him, and he'd be willing to talk or something.
Yeah. Or if he's suddenly at a place in life where he's struggling and, you just happen to be somewhere, maybe he would open up. I don't know. And maybe all it was is you confronted him about the circumstance, planted a seed in there, and it is waiting for somebody else God has planned to come along and water that so that it'll grow.
Oh yeah. And that's something that I know with streaming, we were talking earlier about how we are online missionaries. We all need to strive to be the term or the definition of a missionary, because that's what we're called to do. And I remember when I first started streaming, I was trying to make it all about me reaching people, not me potentially making an opportunity to tell people what God's done for me. Yep. And I learned real quick that for me, I had more effect to tell people about Christ and tell people about what God's done for my life if I just let it happen naturally. If I just made an environment where we're hanging out, we try to keep it as clean as possible. I used to really gatekeep every word that you can think of in the dictionary, but I let some things go, because if we're just blocking that, how can we reach those people if all we're doing is blocking that? Yeah. And so I wanted to be a family-friendly streamer, and I try to be as family-friendly as I can, but that's just not the case in the Siege community.
Yeah. Family-friendly in some communities is going to be difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I used to be so, gung-ho about telling people about Christ. As soon as they come in, I'd be like, do you know God? And now, like, I think about how I used to do that.
The way you did that, that's just going to be too old for you. You won't know the reference. That's okay. But I remember as a kid, I got cassette tapes of comedians that I would listen to all the time, and that just kind of like flashed in my mind of a Cheech and Chong bit. Have you heard the word of the Lord? And it's not like Lord. Yes. Yeah. Have you heard the word of the Lord? And it's not one, it's a whole skit that they keep bringing up from tape to tape to tape, because it was tapes back in the day.
Too good to drop.
Yes.
Too good, they thought.
Yes. Yeah, we got to keep bringing it up because these people are persistent. They're not going to leave you alone. Every time we go from one skit to another, we might run into them. Have you heard the word of the Lord? And don't become the personification of a meme to reach people for Jesus. I guess that's just some good thoughtful advice there.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would be so serious. I'd go from being really goofy with gaming to suddenly being super serious with God, and which is fine. I think that's sometimes very necessary, depending on the conversation, the topic, what things are being said. But it was me turning on a light in the room, and everybody would scatter if I did something like that. And it's like, well, how am I supposed to reach people if I'm just instantly trying to judge them, basically, is what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
And so it took me some time to learn to reel that in and focus on making an environment that is honoring of God. So that way, because in person, like with the camp, we're here to take care of people's physical needs, and then their emotional needs, and then their spiritual needs will follow suit with all of that. And online, we can't physically be there for people, but we can be there for them emotionally. We can be there for them spiritually. And I think that's a big deal for communities to figure out how can you make that environment for God to do what he does best. How can you help plant those seeds? And definitely was an interesting journey to get to that point. A lot of people I scared away when I was first doing that, because they're just like, oh man, he's one of those. He's just gonna want to talk to me about just God. I'm here to play video games. What are you talking about? Or something like that. And yeah. Anyway, I'm cringing at my past self because I knew I had good intentions, but
I think a lot of us, if we grow in our faith and we grow as a person in the way that we build relationships with other people, there's a lot of cringe things in our past. But we may not have got to where we are without doing those things that we learned from.
Absolutely.
And now we're growing, and then hopefully a better reflection of Jesus today than we were 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, or a year ago. Every time we can move in that direction, I think it's a good thing.
Man, you're preaching at me right now. Oh gosh.
No, we're just friends hanging out, man. I'm just.
No, you're right. That's something that I've been starting to do the last 6.5, or it's like nearly 7 years of streaming. Is I every once in a while I take notes of where my growth has been over the last year, over the last 2 years, 3 years, and now we're up to nearly 7 years. And it's really hard to, especially with like content creation, where you have people who enjoy watching you for you, and you're trying to juggle, especially if you're like me, you're not you're not like a Bible study channel. You're not someone who does openly always has a Bible study planned.
The Bible study streams are the exception, here. And then I would say they're the exception. And then there's probably a bigger group of Christians who will take and say, we're going to do a devotion and then we're going to stream, or we're going to read a verse and pray and stream. I'll add a piece of flavor of we're going to take time for God and then game is probably more of a norm than anything like what I do of, hey, we're going to read the Bible and we're going to dive in, and we're going to like, I'm out on the extreme for sure.
Yeah, but it's an extreme that's necessary.
Yeah.
We, talking about it a little bit.
Hey, DJ Stacy Bless, thank you for the biddies. Appreciate you, friend.
Oh,
and
DJ with the biddies.
And Sabik, lurk from Sue's community. Love the flat cap. Thank you. Have a couple from Ireland. Best hat ever. Yes, it is, friend. We're gonna have to hang out. I just met you, and you're like a really close friend that I just haven't met.
Spock's an OG. He's from whenever I first started streaming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's good man. Hard worker. Works himself to death all the time. Got to get to a flat cap. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I could rock it. I don't know if I'm cool enough to rock a flat cap. I could always try.
Hey, there are plenty of different styles. We'll find the right one.
I know what for Halloween, I'll look at having a flat cap Dapper Pastor costume.
There you go.
I think I can pull it off.
Yep.
I can be cool.
Well, welcome in. It's great. Webby got a flat cap. Yeah, Webby got a flat cap. There's a few people that have them, and that they love to bring out when they're on the podcast with me. They're like, I wore my hat for you. I'm like, yay. It's super cool. Wear it with confidence for Jesus. There we go.
You're right. Oh, you're right, LT.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought there.
Me
I got
too.
I got so distracted by the hats for a moment. I lost where we were at.
It's your brand, you know. It's a part of you. You hear flat cap, my people.
My people, my people. Well, yeah. Funny story. And then we'll come back. I went to Boston a few years ago. My wife had a work trip, so went to Boston. One of the companies that portion of my hats are from is Boston Scully Company, and so walking around Boston, it wasn't that there was half of the people walking around with flat caps, but everywhere you looked up and down the street, somebody was rocking a flat cap, and my wife is like, "Have you found your people?" I go, "No, they found me." They found me. They just saw me show up and they're like, "Hey, we're wearing our hats today because flat cap showed up in town." But it was like, no, because there's still not enough flat caps. There still should be more in the world. We're over 50% of the people not wearing them.
We got to those are rookie numbers. We got to get that up. You're
exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Raise flat cap awareness.
But that goes to so that's my thing. But I don't take it too seriously. It's not the reason that I'm online. Is like, I actually, if somebody wants to sponsor me and give me flat caps and all that, I'm good with that. I will not turn that down. But I'm more interested in why you're doing things and how you're growing and what you're doing in the space that meet people where they need. So we've talked a little bit about the catalyst for you deciding to jump in and do it, and then move into the space. What have been some obstacles that you've overcome as you have been a Twitch streamer? They can be related to streaming, or they can be related to being life and getting in the way of streaming, or streaming and connecting, scheduling with life and all that kind of stuff.
So probably, I want to probably reach back to whenever I was first streaming.
Yeah.
This is before tags were available for Twitch. Twitch, it was king of the hill style everywhere. There was hate raids everywhere. It was just a very toxic stream environment, especially for people who were Christians, or probably, in all honesty, people of any faith. But most of the time, all the hate I always saw was towards Christianity and Christians and Christian streamers. At the time when I first started streaming, I only knew of 3 other Christian centered channels. I knew of Redfire X Trevor, Pastor Dustin, and Pastor Susie.
Yeah.
Those were the ones I had known about when I first started. And it was awesome to be able to find those. A lot of times I would just kind of chill in Susie's or Dustin's chats, just because it was nice to hear how other Christian streamers, would interact with others. Same for Trevor. I found him actually through Instagram, and we've been thick as thieves since then. I can't, man, that's a tongue twister. We've been real close since then. And so whenever I was first streaming, though, in the Siege community, I was playing on console, and for those who know, there's the console community for Siege and the PC community for Siege. And the console community is way bigger, of course, because they're easier to get. But also the console people are a lot more immature. And so because there was more people and I played off console, I had quite a few viewers in my streams as I slowly built up. Got to the point where I was averaging 30, 40 viewers, and I started getting targeted quite frequently by atheist communities. That was probably my first biggest hurdle.
Okay.
Was an atheist community, a Discord community. Some guy found me, one of their people found me and shared me out, and I was targeted by them for probably 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
That they were doxing my friends and family. They were doxing me. They were posting horrible things in my Discord. No matter how I changed my safety settings, they would hate raid me. They would view bot me. They would even chat bot me like crazy. It was a lot. I'd been streaming for about 6, maybe 7 months at the time. The first 3 months were real slow of me trying to figure out my identity, try to figure things out, getting affiliate. And then I started collaborating with other R6 streamers, and people liked my comedy. They liked my character. And so they're like, oh man, this guy's nice. This is weird that there's a nice person out there. And well, trolls get attracted to that as well.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot real quick I'm really good at reading chat before I answer chat, because I'm proofreading it before I say it, because I got bamboozled a lot by them. And
you got to be careful, especially when you're a newbie, of streamer names come in and they'll be spelled just in a certain way that you'll mispronounce them into something you do not want to accidentally say. Yes.
And that happened to me way too many times. And it's a classic rite of passage, I think, for streamers in general. But it was even more so intimidating for me, especially I have dyslexia, so sometimes reading can be a little bit difficult. And so it really would get me sometimes. But that was probably my first big hurdle. I had finally got like a taste of success in streaming, quite a bit of success, quite a bit of viewerships. I'd only been streaming for a few months, and people really liked the content. They really liked that. And then suddenly out of nowhere, I just get hit with all this hate. And I'm like, I did nothing to y'all. I'm here to be a positive, encouraging influence. And when I get the opportunity to tell people my story of how God's changed my life and how God's there for me, and y'all are just bringing in all this hate because you're afraid of it. And I remember I tried to reach out to the Discord owner and confront them as an adult. I'm like, hey, I'm not backing down. Like you're not going to stop me from doing this, even though deep down I really considered not streaming anymore, especially after several of my friends and family, their addresses were leaked and they were doxxed. That was terrifying.
Did anything more happen other than their information getting out? Like, did they get threatening letters or anything else that made them uncomfortable where they lived? That oh no, people know, or they can find me?
No, from what I understand, nobody was messed with. There was nothing sketchy in real life. I ended up screenshotting all of it, submitting it to Twitch and submitting it to Discord.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I got those accounts banned and removed, as well as that Discord banned and removed, because it was a lot. It was a lot of stuff even my mods didn't see at the time. I didn't have very many mods, and they were all under the age of 18. And I'm like, I'm not gonna put this in front of their eyes. Yeah, they're too young for that. I don't even want to think about the liability that could be tied in with that. So I was handling a lot of that stress by myself and dealing with a lot of that. And again, it was a big hurdle. That owner of that Discord messaged me every day for probably nearly 2 years straight that he hated me and he wished I died. And every time I just respond with, hey, I love you, I'm praying for you. Or I'd respond with, I hope you're having a good day today. Never would respond to what I said. And after a year or two, because he'd messaged me through Xbox, he'd say, here, I'm this person from Discord. I just wanted to let you know, I hate your guts. I hope you die today. That's normally the conversation started with him. And after, again, about 2 years, he stopped messaging me. And I even reached out to him and I said, hey, I hope you're doing well. Love you. Didn't respond. So I guess, he then blocked me, I think. Odd how that turned around on him, I guess. But yeah, that was huge. That showed me a peek into a darker online community than I realized. Yep. Because I grew up playing Call of Duty in high school. I grew up playing Halo, so I was in a lot of very rude and toxic.
Right, and not to say that, like we were talking earlier, of how if you're in that, it does influence you, and but you having had that experience, I think on some level allowed you to understand. So when you did get doxxed, when you did get attacked, you could just say, I'm going to love you anyway. Where somebody who's not coming from that background or understanding has that attack and could either, if you go with the fight or flight or freeze, some are going to fight, some are going to flee, and some are going to freeze. And so you were able to put all of those aside and respond out of love. And then, of course, protecting people who needed to get protected. Like, you got people underage being doxxed and family members. You need to step in and make sure that there's no harm. It doesn't lead to further things. It's one thing for people to voice things, but when there's certain people that need protected, yeah, I get that. Let's step in and make sure that nothing else nefarious happens here.
Yes, I ended up again when all that happened. I didn't want my mods to be targeted, so I even told them don't ban anybody. I'll ban them. Don't delete their messages. I'll delete their messages. Don't draw attention to yourself, because this is on me. This is my responsibility, and I don't want anything to happen. And I mean, whenever I contacted all my friends or families that they had been saying where they live, or roundabouts where they lived, and even to the point saying their address, that's what I just ended up telling them. I said, hey, all the people you're doxing live in Texas. They all have guns. Just know that. And when I said that, like, I felt silly saying it, because it's just a basic, like,
it's just a
thing to say.
Yes.
But apparently it really hit, because they kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And then following that is when the reports happened, and things died down for a while. For probably the rest of that year, that first year streaming, I'd get some of those people back and forth occasionally, but it was a very dark time. It was a lot of just self-doubt.
Yeah. How did your stream community respond as those things were happening? Because your mods would have been made aware of it. So how did they respond towards you in that time?
I know a lot of the mods said, hey, this is what we're here for. Let us help. Let us help. Let us help. And I was very, grateful for that. Some of my mods aren't Christians, and that's for a reason. It's like, if we're here to reach as many people as possible, I need outside opinions. I need people who respect me and respect what I believe in to give me insight, because then that in the end helps me be better for others. And so a lot of my mods were trying to help, and they wanted to be there, but I'd be like, no, we can't do that. A lot of my Twitch chat at the time, we hid quite a bit of it. And my Discord, we hid quite a bit of it, because we didn't want that to be the focus. If we let the chat run away with it, and have the attention with it, then these guys would have gotten what they wanted, which is attention. And so it was working overtime. I had a lot of one eye on one screen while one eye is playing Siege, because I'd have two gaming mice, or I'd have my controller in my hand. I'd just be playing Siege with one hand, which, fun fact, I used to have a channel point redemption to play one-handed, because I actually got not bad playing with the left hand, so I could delete messages on chat or in the Discord and whatnot. So, it didn't really have a big effect on the community. And quite a few of the mods I had at that time no longer hang out. They've gone their own ways. They've gone to different streams. And I think I only have one mod from back then. And so, it was cool to see my mods willing to stand up for me and be there for me. And it was nice to continue to keep that hedge of protection over the chat, because they would have ran away with it, especially Siege people, or just in general online gaming people. They would have been trash talking. They would have been threatening themselves. It would have just devolved into something that wasn't what I wanted. It would have devolved into something that was out of hate. People would have been hateful. And so I felt it was better and more necessary to delete, tell people not to give them attention, and let's focus on the game and how we're spending our day to day. How's today going? So,
yeah, that's I say the aspects of all of that. Like, wow, that's a horrible thing to have to go through. But keeping here's why we're here, here's what we're doing, and here's how we'll respond just reminds me of what I've done. Going into churches that are in crisis and don't know what they're going to do. Should we close? Should we not close? What are we pursuing? And it's the constant, here's where we are, here's where we're looking, and here's what we're going to do. And so don't get distracted by, well, only so many people showed up for Sunday school, or only so many people responded for this, or only so much of this is going on. It's the, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And then you have to repeat it over and over and over again to just make sure, because that's comforting too. That's comforting to just continually hear the same message. Okay, we'll get through it. We'll get through it. Let me do it. This is what we're doing. Yeah, that. I don't say that's not something that I learned when I was younger. It's just something that, you know, it's like, oh, now I understand. Like I was always one like when I was doing teacher training, they're like, tell them what you're going to teach them, and then tell them what you told them. I'm like, how about I just tell them and we're done? You know, why am I going to tell them what I'm going to teach them and then tell them what I taught them? That just seems like a huge waste of time. I could teach.
We got to pad time.
I could teach 3 times as much stuff if I just go on, you know, but it's like, oh, okay. I kind of get this now of when it applies to other things in life. It's the reassurance of we have an approach. We know where we're going and we're going to stick with it. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah. It was terrifying in the moment, but looking back, it really equipped me with life and just decisions that I've made over the last few years since that first year streaming. It definitely actually helped me have more grace towards trolls and people who are just hateful.
Yeah.
I didn't want that. Like the human in me.
The human in you is like, no, must squash, ban,
exactly.
Get the ban hammer out and just go to town and
turn and burn. Just get him out of here, you know? And I realized though, like, again, they are somewhere dark to have to act like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, it's like, okay, hey, I'm going to be praying for y'all. That's what I would say in chat. You know, I may not have like a Bible study or a Bible reading, but if somebody comes in with a prayer request, I physically grab my sheet of paper that gets larger every day and I add more and more on and I put people's prayer request on it. And I want to remember that. And I normally later translate that to some Post-it notes in my Bible. So that way, when I open my Bible, I know who to pray for. And so normally when people, if they hear me talk about God for the first time, it's either somebody's asking for prayer and I'll be there in prayer, or somebody's coming in and they're having a real deep question about their spiritual life or spiritual journey, or in general, they're just unsure of what to do. And does Christ really love them? Does God really love them? And then it's like, well, okay, let's look at scripture. Yesterday we had this happen. Alex was in the chat and he was talking about how he just felt like his relationship with God was just always kind of dry recently. It's kind of a dry rut right now. He's not sure. He feels like he's just going through the motions and he's not feeling that connection, and that it's just, life is just kind of tough right now. And I told him, hey, we have to look at Matthew 11 verses 27 through 30, where, you know, Jesus describes himself, you know, come to me all who are burdened and heavy laden, you know, take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy, my burden is light. And, you know, for him, that was a huge moment. And we had that conversation, and who knows who else got to hear that and got to get something from it. Yeah. And so I found, like, for me, you know, I'm a pastor's kid, but I've never gone to a seminary. I've never gone to any Bible school. I just know what I've learned growing up and in my studying of my own, and from others that I listen to and have my studies with, that, you know, I'm just not that type of scholarly person. I'm very simple. I'm a very black and white type of person. And so if somebody comes in and they have a question of scripture, then I'll answer them. I don't shy away from it. And it's always fun when people try to come in and misquote scripture. And then you're just like, okay, oh man, all right. So you're saying this is what scripture says. Well, let me go get my Bible. Let's look at the context of just this one verse. Similar, which I will say your Bible studies did help me with that. It's like, let's look at the context. Let's not just focus on the 1 or 2 verses or 3 verses. Let's look at the whole chapter. Let's look at what's happening beforehand, because you're pulling something out of nowhere. It's like, I can't quite remember the verse off the top of my head, but I remember hearing this years ago in a Bible study where our youth pastor, our leader, had given us strips of paper that were verses from the Bible, and we had to guess.
Oh, yes.
Did Satan say this? Or did Jesus say this? Or did God say this? Or who said this?
Right.
And a lot of people were putting verses that Satan said as words that God spoke.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, you know, that just stuck with me.
Yeah.
from then on. I remember I kept those verses on those Bible pages until basically they dissipated. I really need to reprint them and place them there again, because it's always fun to reference them and say, hey, you're saying this verse. Let's also look at this one verse. Satan said this. Do you want to trust that? I don't know if I want to trust him. He seems like a bad guy. Context clues say he's pretty bad. and so it's definitely, by letting that just be natural for people online, for me, going through that toxic time, it really helped me know how to talk to them better, how to talk to people better with that. Now, do sometimes do I let those conversations go a little long, and my mods are all itching and saying, Jesse, you're giving them too much time. We appreciate what you're trying to do and giving them grace, but too much time. And then I'll get like a ping like, hey, you've been trying to like reason with this person for a while, and all they're doing is belittling you and not being respectful. Can we please get rid of them? And I'm like, I'll give them one more shot. And if it doesn't go through, then they're being a distraction for what we're trying to achieve, which is always tough. And so I'll get that little ping, and I give them that one shot. They fail. And then my mods just go, oh yeah, they're gone. And they have a good time. They get to get rid of the person that's messing with them, which I'm very grateful for my mod team. They really stand up and step in for me and take care of me. They make sure I'm taking care of myself is a good way to put it too. So sorry, that little side tangent, but
no. Like I have no agenda here other than to share a little bit of how you get started, of what you've experienced, what God is up to, and what God is up to is going to go in various different ways for whoever it is. And sometimes God is up to something when people are being destructive towards what we're trying to do, of being salt and light. And sometimes it's going to go a different direction entirely.
14 just followed.
Courageous, thank you for the follow.
Follow though.
Supersonic did ask you a question. I don't know if you see that in the chat.
He knows somebody great. How should this be calmly addressed for myself? I prayed and gave God the matter yesterday, and I'm trying to let him take care of the matter. I can't control how others react/respond, but letting God handle that as well. I've had a person doxing and harassing me and others I'm involved with online. I've tried to ignore, but I obsess. I can only give it to God because I can't fix this problem. More can be said if you need. In the end, when it comes to doxing, sometimes people get attached because of a reaction that they're giving, that you're giving them. And they're feeding off of that. They're feeding off the idea that you're losing sleep, that you're obsessing over them. They finally have somebody that is obsessing over them. And one of the biggest things you can do is report them and block them, ignore them. Anytime they're messing with you, get them out of your life. If they're trying to be invasive of your privacy and you've asked them politely to stop, then you need to take those steps to just ignore them. And I know that's easier said than done. I too obsessed over the idea of these people who were targeting me, targeting my friends and family. And like you said, you have to give that to God. You have to pray that out. You have to continue to ask and seek and knock for God to take that off your heart, to give that to God. It's a scary thought to have somebody know where you live who might have ill intentions. And it terrifies me even now with streaming. I have my family that I have to care for. I have my wife and my son. And then at the camp, I live on the camp grounds and property, along with other coworkers who live here too. And their safety is dependent on, me not allowing people to have that type of leeway. We have campers. We have close to 450 campers during the summer. Nearly every week, we have that many people here. The responsibility of their safety is a big ordeal. And so the biggest thing I could just tell you is you just got to remove them as much as you can. If they just keep on making accounts to bother you, keep removing.
That's part of what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. And just don't even interact. Don't say their name as soon as you pick up, because you'll learn online, people have a cadence to their words. They have a style to how they type. And that's how I started picking up on people who would get banned, make a new account, and troll. And now there's way better mod tools on Twitch where you can see how old an account is And you can even set those settings where if an account is under so many hours old, they can't talk in your chat. And so that helps with keeping a lot of those people away. The biggest thing is you remove them, you don't give them the attention, and then they'll no longer be interested in you because they're not getting anything from you. And you really have to work hard to give that worry up to God. It's a scary thought, but you have to work really hard on that.
Yeah, Supersonic's asking about cadence when you type. In the same way that I might have lots of pauses, or I might use unintentionally when I am speaking verbally. When I type, I may do the same thing where I use the same word repeatedly to start a sentence. I use the same word repeatedly to end a sentence. I might continuously put commas where they don't belong, or every time I make exclamation point, it's 4 exclamation points every single time. So you give little clues in the way that you would word things when you type, the same way you word things the way that you speak. So I don't know if you add anything else to that, Papa.
That's absolutely right. It's like I know how each of my mods talk.
Yep.
And if I couldn't read, I really want to try this now that I'm thinking about it. If I couldn't see their tag, their Twitch tag, would I know which one of them's talking to me?
Yeah.
And I think I would, unless they really try hard to change how they talk. But they all have their own way of talking in chat. They now have their own voice, so to speak, through text.
Yeah, and that's a good example there, too, of the different mods in your chat are going to come across, if there's a troll, saying very similar things, but there's a style that they each have of how they're going to do it. Yeah, like, could you pick out my mods or, from one another? I mean, I've got Luce's who's in here right now. Definitely a different mod than I'm watching you people for me. They're going to come across totally different in the way that they say things. I could pick them apart pretty easily.
I can't control how others in the crossfire respond to this. Adding attention without wanting it drawn. Well, that's when you got to get together with those people that are also a part of that situation. Y'all have to discuss that. Y'all are literally feeding this person what they want. They're getting everything they want.
Hey, thanks for the follow. I didn't catch who that was.
Daysonia.
Oh, okay. Daysonia. Thank you.
But you got to talk with those people. All right. You got to talk with the group that's all being bothered by this individual and have them realize to just block that person out. And I've said that several times. I'm reiterating that because that's literally how I stopped quite a bit of the people who mess with me. If somebody's coming in and they're trolling and they're being inappropriate, I just don't read their message. If they're coming in and I may not even delete it, I just won't read it. Literally, I'll just skip right over top of it because I want them to know I saw it, but they're not even worth the time to delete it. Now that sounds real harsh, but
they've already established the behavior that is what you're responding to. So yeah.
Yeah, and as Christians, we want to have grace, we want to give chances, but at the same time, we as streamers have a responsibility to our community to have a safe space. They're depending on us and our mods to keep the chat safe, to keep it from them getting messed with or ruined or bullied. We don't know where people are coming from. They may be bullied daily at school, and they finally get a break online when they're hanging out and stream. And so we don't know how far people are being pushed and what that final catalyst could be for them to make a horrible decision. So we have that responsibility where we have to step up, and we sometimes just have to ignore the people who are being extremely rude, or they're just making fun of you or not there for the right reasons. Because that's what they're wanting. They're wanting attention in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. So it's not via Twitch, it's in a game, but ignoring the constant friend requests. Yeah, ignore them, report them. Report them. That's a big thing. Like if you report it enough, it will be taken care of eventually. Be the squeaky wheel. If somebody is bothering you on your platform or whatever platform you're making content on, you're gaming on, you have those tags, you have all that. Email support every day. That's what I did for the Discord that had these, the atheists that were literally coming into my Discord and posting horrible pictures. I'm sure people could have their imagination lead them to what I'm talking about, but if you can think it, that's what they posted. And they were horrible people in general. They were very immature, and all they wanted to do was make people uncomfortable. And I reported them as soon as possible, and I waited 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. Nothing was done. They were still, this Discord was still coming in troves into my Discord channel, which is when I finally turned it into where they had to have a verified email and phone number, which is, is nice to have, but at the same time, a lot of people don't have that phone number option. And so I ended up having to do that eventually, but I still had to report that Discord nearly every day for about a week, and they finally got taken care of.
Yeah. Well, and
so
just to think through, we're talking about some pretty serious stuff of when you get attacked and those kinds of things. But I do know several different Discord communities that certain times a year, there's groups that come in. They will try to send a new person in to infiltrate into the group, and then learn who's new and all of this, and then they'll come back with it. So it's like they will just travel around and do this and repeatedly try to go into, and this has happened with some of the digital churches that I know, where, come whatever it is, end of the school year or beginning of the school year, they'll get a whole bunch of attacks because some new people got together talking about what they've been doing and what they've done in the past, and now let's go do it again, and let's relive going and getting people upset. And I don't know what else. I don't know how to stop it. I wish there was a way to stop it. But the same way, I can't stop a riot when it's going to happen. I don't have power to do that. I only have the power to influence one person at a time. Is the only place I think I can make any change.
I think some of the biggest thing to do as well for me, all I could do is retreat into prayer.
Yeah.
Because my human self wanted to respond only in anger and frustration. That was my jump, like straight, jump the gun. I wanted to just say horrible things to them and make them feel bad about themselves. And I had to fight that urge, and it was not easy.
Yeah.
And, I'm not perfect. Off stream, I said some things. I'm human. Off stream, I said things. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to God, and I'm just upset. And I'm like,
God can handle it. God can handle it.
Yeah, God can handle it. I'm so glad he can. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad he can. I'm so glad he can handle me and my frustration. But at that time, it's like you've helped build this awesome community. And I know it's not me. God, I know it's you. I know you're putting yourself in the center of this, or it wouldn't be successful. And now you're just allowing these horrible people, that's what I would say, you're allowing these horrible people to come in. And then I'd sit there and I'd realize, I'm foolish and being hasty, and I need to breathe. I need to stop throwing my temper tantrum and say, God, deliver them from themselves.
Yeah.
God, deliver me from them.
Yep.
And that's when I started finding peace in that. Of course, I still was being active and reporting them, like I said, and active in being cautious for chats, new chatters. I was suspicious of new chatters for nearly 2 years straight.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, I had I guess you could consider it PTSD when
I would definitely say there's an element of that. Are you here?
Are you here from them?
Yes.
It's.
Did you just get a new
research their
did you get a new account?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that kind of soured some stuff for a while. Honestly, that really soured it for me. At the time, I was working at the camp and everything was going so smoothly, and the income from subscriptions, from donations were there, and they were starting to show that, hey, there's a potential that I could do this full time, and this could basically be an income that me and my wife will combine, and I could, make this my life all the time. And well, I ended up taking that step, and I'm glad I did. I know it's what I needed to do. That was a huge hurdle. Camp life is not easy. We're very busy. Again, during the summer, maybe one day off a week. With summer camps, you're working from 6:30 until 8:30 at night. You're working 14-hour days, 16-hour days sometimes. And then with being a full-time staff, we have rotations where we're on call for the group. So sometimes you're on call, next thing you know, a water line breaks. Next thing you know, a kid's like face planted and you got to get up and you got to go take care of them and deal with all of that. If you even get told about it, which sometimes doesn't happen, you're just like, you should talk to us. We're here. We're the host. But, we're responsible for so much during the summer. And so life is very busy during the summer. Life is, there's not very much room to breathe. And during retreat season, it's a mix. Some weeks are way more busier than others, just depending on retreats we have in. And so at the time, I was trying to juggle streaming 6 days a week at 6 hours a stream.
Ooh.
With my full-time job, with trying to balance spending time with my wife. And we hadn't even had a kid at that point. And I was maybe spending an hour with her those days that I would stream. She'd basically get Sundays with me. That's all she'd get. And that wasn't healthy. I'm very grateful for God for being there with us in our relationship at the start, because, it was, not a lot of time spent together, not a lot of time talking, discussing what's going on, her telling me the stresses of her day, me just listening and being there for her. I was so focused on so many other things. And so I convinced myself that this is what I was called to do, that I was called to do this full time.
Okay. So let me poke at that. You convinced yourself, you didn't feel a calling. So it's a reflection now that you say that's what it was. What did you feel at the time?
At the time, I felt like I was being called into it.
Okay.
I've been praying sincerely over it for the 3 years that I had been streaming. I'm like, God, if this is your will for me to do this full time, allow the funds to be there so I don't have to try to get a part-time job where even more time of my life will be taken away. Allow the funds to be there, allow the viewership to be there, allow the community to continue to thrive and grow. And at the time, in Siege, there's a little bit of history with Siege. It got really bad DDoSing problems, or where people would hit you off of your router and off of your game and in the middle of the game and you couldn't play anymore.
Oh, no.
For quite a while.
Yeah.
It's a huge breach of privacy. It's a federal offense, and people were doing it for a video game. And Siege was probably in its lowest point at that time. And my viewership crashed because the player base of the game crashed. Nobody wanted to really play it anymore, because you'd play a game, you play your ranked games, and you'd lose because you'd get kicked. And next thing you know, you're banned because you abandoned the game when you really didn't. That is the same time that I went full time.
Okay.
And I told myself, I'm like, nope, this is what God's been calling us to do. He laid a path for us to go. And I know for sure, like looking back, I know I was supposed to do what I did.
Right.
I knew I was supposed to pursue it for full time. There was a lot of other background stuff that happened where it was a perfect opportunity. All the stars aligned, however you want to say it. And within a month of being
little underscore teapot just followed.
Thank you for the follow. I kept sick. At that time, about a month after I went full time, my average viewership went from about 30 to 40 down to 7.
Ooh.
A lot of my supporters, my financial supporters, my gifters, they dropped. And that was scary. Because I'm like, God, I feel like you've been preparing me to do this for all these years. I had picked up painting, for like jokingly been painting, and now it was starting to turn into something more, and kind of backtracking a little bit. I also gave away Bibles, which was part of like all of that.
The Grenadier just followed.
Thank you for the follow.
Thank you for the follow.
Some of those trolls had been ordering Bibles from me and then sending me videos of burning those Bibles.
Oh, I had not heard this story. Wow.
Yes. So I meant to touch on that. It wasn't in my notes. I wrote down footnotes and I'm not following them. But yeah, those trolls they had ordered some of my Bibles. I I provide them for free as long as my supplies last and my funds last. And I've been doing it for years. I started doing painting to kind of just mix that in with Siege. I thought everybody really enjoyed it from the Siege community, which was odd to me that they enjoyed the painting. And so now back to where I was, where it'd been a month that I'd gone full time. My average viewership crashed, income crashed, love for Siege crashed. I even tried to pivot and switch to playing PC Siege, and I'd spend hours every day playing on computer because it was way different than controller to get better. And there was no growth there. And there was a lot of me spiraling. That's probably those 3 months after going full time is probably the darkest part of my life mentally I've ever been, because I was questioning myself. I was questioning God. I was questioning everything. And, eventually I just said, we're just going to start playing a variety of different games, to just ignore this. This is a dry patch for Siege. And it taught me to not be reliant on one thing, because, well, you never know when it gets swept out from underneath you. But that would probably be my second most difficult time, was after 3 years of streaming, going full time, and everything just crashed. At the height of Siege, I was probably averaging 60 to 70 viewers. And then it was as soon as I was starting to get really good at the game, and getting more popular, is when everything crashed in Siege. And, it was so easy for me to just blame it on everything else. I did, I was like, it's all this and that. But the most important lesson that was there is I was relying on a video game and not on God.
Yeah.
I was relying on numbers on a screen and not on God. And that taught me a lot of reliance even further. You'd think I'd learned that from the trolls. That, I think, taught me grace.
Oh, well, you might learn it, but you think you know it, but you don't want to apply it again. That's what I end up finding often is, well, I know this. I've gone through it. I don't want to go through it again. Oh, wait, I have to, in a new way, in a new space. The one phrase that I've run into several times as a Twitch streamer is, are you going to trust God again? What do you mean again? I already did in the past. I don't need to do it again. I already trusted God. I've done that part. What do you mean trust him again now?
I've heard that before, and said basically the same thing. Like, I do trust him. I do trust him. And this is where I'm grateful for, having strong followers of Christ that help support, because I have so many Christ followers that lurk in the shadows. They're there to support, and they'll send me encouraging messages every once in a while. They'll see something's going on and they're like, hey, it's gonna be okay. Or, hey, I see you're going through this. And I remember one of them, I'm complaining. I've been complaining for 3 months straight about blaming everything else in the world of why I was unhappy, why, all this was going on. And finally, one of my secret supporters, probably one of my bigger Christian influencers, who really kept me aligned in my values and faith, said, could you stop complaining? Like, they said, I love you, but please stop complaining.
Yep.
You're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself. And I'm like, but all this is why, this problems, it's not my fault. They're like, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
You're making it your fault. You're making it all on your shoulders, and you're doing everything the exact opposite of what you say to do. Stop. And I was so grateful for that. Now, did I have to learn, like we just said, learn that again later down the road? Absolutely. But when they said that, it was just like a light switch. It was just like, they're 100% right. I can't just keep wallowing in self-pity with what's going on. So I leaned into variety content, playing a bunch of different games. I leaned into painting a little bit more. And I just felt like, okay, maybe God's creating an opportunity for painting, because people really like the painting streams. They really enjoy just coming in, listening to some music, chatting, and watching a painting get put together. And so I kind of turned into that a little bit more. I didn't play Siege as often. And then it eventually got to where I I blew a gasket on stream one day. I was playing Siege, and I was playing with a couple of streamer friends, and this like, I don't know, he sounded like he was like 15 or 16 years old. Siege is very competitive, and I try to be, goofy but also serious because I want to win the game, right? In the end, I want to win. That's the human nature. We want to win games, and in my brain, it's like success in the R6 space is tied to winning. If people don't want to come in and watch losers, right? That's what I kind of fooled myself into thinking. And so this guy blames me for something that happened in the game, and he's yelling at me. He's cursing me out. And I just finally, like, I had never had the term crashed out on stream before, but this was the time when it finally happened. He's complaining, and I just, I didn't say anything inappropriate. I just said, "You stop yelling at me, you immature child. It is a video game. You were literally so stupid to think that I did this when it was your fault." And I don't want to say I screamed it, but I said it with a really stern voice, and I threw off my headset and I walked out, and I forgot to turn off stream, and stream ran for like 3 hours.
Oh no.
I felt so silly after that, that I had allowed a game to get under my skin. So my relationship with
the exact same thing you were accusing him of was exactly what you were doing. Yes. That sounds I totally resonate with that.
I felt like such a dummy, I come in about 3 hours later. I had just closed the door. I gone to the living room. I just was chilling with...
Whoa. What did we got here? How many was this?
LT gifted 10 subs.
10
Let's go,
subs. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yo, thank you. Awesome.
Let's go.
So cool.
LT for the 2 gifted subs. Got to get some hype and hearts in the chat for that. Hold
up, man. Yeah. Let's blow up the chat with some hype for that, man. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much, LT. Boom. The hype. You just got copy pasted. Felt the tug on my heart to bless for more from her to hear. Hey, Flat Cap is definitely one that you can trust that blessing with. All right, y'all. He's super cool. We were talking. He taught me the ways of 2 truths and a lie at Reach. Right?
Don't give it away. Do not give it away. Okay.
Don't give it away. But he taught me the truths of it. He taught me the truths of 2 truths and a lie.
Yep. We're sitting there. I'm like, here, I'm going to tell you how to fix. I know exactly which one it is. Here's how you know. And it's like, dude, like, see, told you.
How did you know? He's like, I just know. And hey, if y'all come to Reach, you get to meet Flat Cap. Yep. He's pretty cool. He's got a lot of stories. Again, a lot of us Reach creators will say the same thing, that probably the best part of Reach was just being able to sit down at a table with everyone else that we interact with online all the time, and then just have a chill, relaxing environment where we're not stressed out to try to please people. We're not stressed out to try to,
Oh, we're not on stage. We're not on stage there.
We're not performing.
Well, we might at for a moment be on stage and
Yeah.
paint on stage, or present something, but that's not why we're there. We are there to hang out with everybody else, and just like I say in my chat in my stream often, I'm no better than my mods. I'm not. I just happen to be the one that's live. My mods are just as needed. So is everyone else that's in the chat. So thank you for the hype train there. That was awesome. I don't get those too often on this channel. It's fun and whenever there's a hype train that happens. So thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Again, the mods are the backbone of the streamer.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know I can speak for myself. I'm sure I'm speaking for Flat Cap. We're picking people who we know can handle the stream just as much as we can. We trust that. We trust the people that we pick. And so big support. Can't do without the mods.
No, it's so needed. And then, as you're talking through there, you had your mods there. So you had your big blow up and you walk off. So what then?
So I came back, saw that my stream was live, and there was still a couple people there, you know, just like, I've never seen Sue mad. I'm very good at keeping in my frustration. I'm very good at being patient. I don't get angry often. I don't blow up that much. Yeah, but there was a lot going on in my heart, in my mind, and I wasn't aligned with God, and it let loose. One of my longtime supporters, a VIP, a Turtle. There was one time he asked for input on something, and it was one of more of those serious days. I wasn't making time for any shenanigans. So I cut to the point when I answered his question.
Yeah.
And it really hit home. And I bring it up every once in a while as something to laugh at now, but it really hit then. He said, "Sue, you literally make me sometimes feel like the dumbest person in the world."
Oh.
And he's like, I don't mean anything bad about that. I just feel like sometimes.
Thank you for the biddies.
He's like, I just feel like sometimes whenever you answer my questions, I just feel like such a dummy. And I'm like, oh no, Turtle, I don't mean that. Like, I just answered the question. And that combined with recently, I had blown a gasket. I just was like, okay, something's got to change. I'm doing something wrong here. And I ended up taking a huge break from Siege. Again, I'd been playing that game. I played it since it came out 10 years ago. Yeah. I played it before I started streaming. I knew the ins and outs. I was watching pro league games back to back. I had stats memorized. It was like anything you could think of with sports and football. That was me for Siege.
Yep.
And I was so serious about it. I was doing tournaments. I was hosting tournaments. I was a part of smaller indie teams. I was very into it, and I had basically been streaming it 6 days a week. 6 hours nearly every stream. And then that's not even counting when I would play it with friends off stream or play it with other content creators to collab with them whenever I wasn't streaming. My life was Siege, and I'm like, this isn't healthy. If God called me to be in this space, and I've made it my space.
There you go.
I shouldn't have.
See, and that's where I was wondering when I said, hey, let me poke at that a little bit. So God was calling you into it. You just weren't going into it, hearing the calling and obediently following the calling, kind of like the same way that Abraham does obey and go to the land. But then he goes down to Egypt for a little bit and, doesn't fully just trust God the whole time to wait on God to provide. He just does it in his own power every so often well, yeah, God said this, so I'm here. But I got to take matters in my own hands.
Yes, and I had been trying to do that. I'm very particular. I like planned out things. I know I can be very chaotic, but I like things being planned. I like to know what I'm going to be up against. Recently, for church, the main lesson has been the story of Elijah and how he, called out all of the Israelites and the followers of Baal, and God's like, okay, you're not ready for this quite yet. Let me just throw you in the wilderness for a little bit. You're going to live at this brook. You're going to drink from this brook. You're going to get fed by birds. And now you're going to go live with this widow. And, he's being prepared through all of this to be able to have this big showdown in the end. And so for me, I was trying to make things happen. I was trying to think 12 steps ahead, but I wasn't worrying about from step 1 to step 2. I was already trying to solve my problems on step 15 when I hadn't even solved my problems for step 2 yet. And all of that was compacting and compiling and stressing me out. And I knew that the root cause was Siege. And I love the game. I know I'm back to playing it recently. It's literally one of my favorite first-person shooters. Again, it's just the idea of working as a team and working as a community. And the whole idea of Siege, Rainbow Six Siege, Team Rainbow, is a group of specialized soldiers and operatives from different walks of life coming together to fight a common enemy. Yeah. That was the main root story of Siege, which I just love that. The whole idea of us settling or putting our differences aside and working together to defeat
just followed.
Blue, thank you for the follow.
Blue. We all I love a good story of just people putting aside differences and coming together to fight a common enemy. And then there's so much to be learned from that. There's so much that you can take away from those types of stories. And they always inspired me as a kid to just try to be the best I can be and show God wherever I go. And so I took a break from Siege, took a year and a half off. I think I booted the game up twice. And it was only to get like some reward that I knew I would be able to get.
Oh,
and
okay.
I played maybe one game. I barely played it, which was weird. You know, I full sent into playing different survival games, story games, painting. I did more work for YouTube content than I did for Siege, and I was just running away. I honestly was running away from Siege, which I think I needed to space myself away from Siege, but running away wasn't the full answer at the time. In my life, I'm really good at interacting with people in the game. I'm really good at interacting with people in that area. And so I went from being on fire for it, being depressed by it, being angered by it, then running away from it, and then coming back, thinking I accepted it, getting mad again, not learning. So then I had to relearn. And literally just for like the last 5 or 6 months, I have finally gotten to the point. I don't get mad at the game. I finally have gotten to this point where it's a game.
Yeah.
If I win, great. I want to win. But at the same time, we're here to have fun and play a video game. And again, that's just like the Siege aspect of the content. You know, there's so much to apply to my spiritual growth in life because of a video game.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, wow, God using things to do things and teaching me. Oh, man, why are you targeting right now, God? You know, jokingly, like, man, but I need it. And between all of that, I got to meet so many people who saw me going through all these different stages and realizing myself that this is all being planned out for a reason. If I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have relied so much on painting. I now paint like once a week, sometimes 2 times a week. It's one of the main things I'm doing at Reach this year because Romans trusted and believed in me last year, and now it's happening again. These paintings sell primarily to pay for Bibles to be given out. And if I hadn't gone through all these issues and stages and frustrations and failures, we're here soon about to ship out our 200th Bible. We're coming up on it, which when we give out Bibles, we're not just giving out a Gideon Bible. We're not just giving out a paper or plastic copy.
Yeah, talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, we're given a high quality Bible from Crossway. If those who don't know, they do the ESV value thin line Bibles. Those are they're kind of popular Bible style. It's a very simple Bible, but it's a very nice Bible. And years ago, when I first started streaming, me and my wife's friend, Caitlin, said, why don't you offer Bibles to people and put their gamer tag on it for them?
Yeah.
So that way they can say, that's mine.
Yes. That's
my Bible. And she told that to me. I'm like, you're a genius. That's so smart. And so I started doing it. And nowadays, more and more people want their real life name on it than a gamer tag. Sometimes we'll get a nickname that we put on there, but still people order Bibles. And the biggest feedback I get from it is I think it was probably the 5th Bible that I shipped. The person who got it, he didn't read it for probably 2 years. He wasn't a Christian, but he for some reason felt like he needed to order a Bible. He got it delivered. He opened the bubble wrap packaging, closed it back. He made sure the Bible was there, and then he put it in his desk.
Okay.
And he didn't look at it. 2 years went by. He's cleaning out his desk. He sees this package, and he opens it up. And at that time, and even still, if I know the person who's ordering the Bible, if I've known them for a while, I'll write a note. Nowadays, I don't have the time to write out huge notes like I used to. And so I had written out a note for him specifically, and it ended up just making him cry because he's like, there's somebody online that cares for me. And I haven't talked to them in 2 years, but they said something for me that is now working. And at that moment, he dove into that Bible. He said he never read the Bible before. So he looked up, where's a good starting point? And then he reached out to me and he told me everything he was going through now that he's going to church. And that just made my day. Like that made it all like I was on a high like no other that day.
I know
I
that.
was just like,
yeah,
it was great. I couldn't believe it. And I started, I'd only would bring up the Bibles every once in a while. I really didn't make it a central focus. But when that moment happened, I started saying, no, this is where God wants me. And the fact that, we all have our cell phones. We can get the Bible app for free on our phone. But I try to tell people this phone can be just as much of a distraction than a help. It can be a great tool for your Bible. But if you're not diligent to turn off your notifications, if you're not diligent.
Do you hear that sound?
I do not.
Okay. I may have a pump going bad on my tank. Yeah.
Not the fish.
It's making an obnoxious noise. If it's not going, I can't. Like, I'm not going to end the stream to fix it. I'll deal with it.
We must
later.
save the fish, though.
They're okay. They're okay. I can see them. It's just making horrible noises. So if nobody's hearing it besides me, we're good. So,
but I would tell people, having that physical Bible in your hand, there's just something different about it. You get to have the tactile interaction with the pages. You have the smell of the pages. You are forced to, or you're really needing to try to remove all distractions so you can just have that peace with God. And if I hadn't gone through everything I would have gone through, I wouldn't have gotten to the point where painting is helping make that more of a reality. It helps open doors. Those painting streams, go from my more, we still have like a goofy, chaotic time with the painting, but it's way more chilled out and mellowed out than when we're gaming. And it leads and opens doors and opportunities to talk to people. They'll bring up sometimes trauma they're going through. They'll bring up past mistakes and failures. They'll talk about what they're going through that day. And it's an opportunity that it slows everything down.
Yep.
And now we can talk about that. And if it hadn't been,
well, it's creating
me,
this. Yeah, it's creating the space for all of that to happen, and for people to be in there. There was a comment earlier. I'm watching you people like my shirt. Well, I wore this because it makes me think of art when I wear this shirt. So
it's a nice shirt.
Yeah, it's like, it looks like it's a painting or of some kind that somebody did somewhere, and I just, now it's a shirt. But the creating space for things, and like, this was one of the things that I always think about is where you are today. If God had told you everything it was going to take to get you to where you are today, you would have said no. But all you could do when he said is, it's time to go full-time live, you're like, okay, I heard what you said, but my idea is this. So I'm going to go try to do my idea and pursue me in the space. And God's like, okay, I still know.
You do you.
You do you. I
You're
still know where
that.
Yeah, I know what you need, but you do you, and I'll be here. I'll pick you up afterwards. I'm gonna be along for it. So, yeah, that's
he definitely picked me up because and again, there's a lot of things learned in that time. I didn't rely on one game, so it forced me to be a better streamer because all I knew to talk about was Siege, and so now I have to talk about other things. It's like, oh yeah, did you see the game last night? It was really easy to carry on a conversation if people hadn't seen it, or did you see the new updates? Now it's, oh, we're playing a different game like every other stream. I can't just talk about Siege anymore.
Yeah.
And that was really uncomfortable for me. I'm a very introverted person in real life. I used to be super extroverted, and then life happened to where now I like to kind of keep to myself. That's just how I am. I'm definitely the type of person that at a party, I'll choose to be in the back of the room going, yeah, y'all are having fun. I'm having fun by watching y'all have fun. Y'all keep having fun now. don't bother me. but as I started streaming, this is another thing. It pushed me out of that shell. It pushed me out of that introverted shell where I need to be active and be there for people and talk to people, because I'm decent at it. I'm pretty good at just having conversations. And so mixing all that with having to do variety, it really took me out of that comfort zone. And that's all the 3 years was of full-time content creation was, man, I got ripped out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I got ripped out of my comfort zone. All my safety nets were gone. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot in those 3 years. And
Yeah. The safety net thing, I think that's one of those things that is really a difficult thing to step away from safety net to follow God at times. It's like, I'll follow you, but I want to make sure I'm safe. I don't want to give up. I mean, just not to just keep going to Abraham, but it just makes so much sense. Go to a land I will show you.
Yeah.
Well, how will I know when I'm there? I'll show you. What about my family and all that? Yeah, you're going to leave your family to go do this. Okay.
I don't know how I feel about it. And it all came to a head when I started playing Siege, and I started realizing I came back to Siege, and I was mixing it in with other content, and I was having all this balance, and things were starting to work out. Things were starting to look up. But then I was burning myself out. I realized I had burnt myself out so much. Yep. Not just burning the candle at both ends. There is no more candle. There's no more wick. It's gone. It's dust. And I had done that because I hadn't worked well enough or been diligent enough in my relationship with God for him to continually refill my cup, for him to continually keep the candle burning, to keep on adding wax to it. And because of that, God doing what he does best, because of that, I realized I love streaming. I love making YouTube content. I love doing all of this. It's a lot of work. When people say they want to do content creation full time, unless you're of the world and you're chasing drama and you're being super edgy and all this stuff that we're called not to be, you'll get success fast if you do that. If there's plenty of people who are big content creators that always pick on people like me who say being a content creator is not easy. That's because they don't have any cares. Yeah. They don't care. All they care about is themselves and money and maybe a few of their family members and friends. They don't care. So that's why it's easy for them. They're able to shove off all of the horrible thoughts that they have. They're like, well, whatever, we'll just lean into it. That'll get clicks, that'll get views. Whereas people who want to be known for a certain image, or for like Christian content creators, if you're not doing something outrageously big or entertaining or crazy, it can be harder to grow a community in that. And so when I tell people, if you're going to go into full-time content creation, it's going to be one of the hardest things you got to do, because you have to be your own boss. You have to do your own research. You have to figure all this stuff out. And you also have to maintain a healthy life. You can't just sit at a computer all day. I went from working outside every day, anywhere from 8 to 16 hours a day, physical labor, 190 pounds, to sitting at a desk 18 hours a day, because I had to do all my YouTube stuff. I had to edit the YouTube stuff. I had to interact with other streamers. I had to stream myself. Then I had to clip and edit those streams after stream. And I'd only get 6 hours of sleep a night. And I went, from all that physical labor, sitting at a desk, 190 pounds, to pushing nearly 300. And that's because I didn't respect myself.
Yep.
I didn't respect my time. I didn't respect God's time. And I didn't respect my relationship with God. And I wanted to do things my way. And through all that and reaching that burnout peak, I thought about my family. Me and my wife had a son about 2 years ago now. And I was going to go get a full-time job to pay for daycare, because Bailey, she's a special ed teacher. She loves teaching her kids. She is emotionally tied to those kids. Those kids are emotionally tied to her. And that's her mission field. And we talked about it. We prayed about it. And I was like, well, I can go get a part-time job. That way we can afford to put him in daycare. And then I'll still do stream stuff on the side. Well, I started doing research on half decent to decent daycares.
Yeah.
And basically all my paycheck from a part-time job
Was going to
go
pay
straight
exactly
into daycare.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how comfortable I am going to be with this, but I told Bailey, like, I think I'm gonna have to be a stay-at-home dad. And she's like, what do you mean? I showed her the math.
Yeah.
I showed her the hours that I was going to be forced to work. I was going to be forced to work basically up to like right under the 40-hour mark to be part-time. So I'd basically be working a full-time job at part-time pay with none of the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have less time with her, less time with the kid, less time with Stream. And we basically not see any of that money because it's going right into a daycare. Right. And so I'm like, well, you continue to pursue, the schooling because, your kids love you. They're tied to you. I'll be a stay-at-home dad. That was a hard year. That year was tough because there was a lot of me not used to that, motherly approach to taking care of a kid. Moms are moms for a reason. Dads are dads for a reason. Moms can do some of dad's jobs. Dads can do some of mom's jobs, and some stuff one side of the coin is better suited for. But I loved having that year home with Jeremiah because if I didn't have that year home, I wouldn't have had all the time and peace and opportunity to pray to God to ask for what does he really want from my life? What do I need to do to serve him to the best of my abilities? And through this past prior year, I had been praying, God, where am I needing to be? Ever since I left the camp, it was still on the back of my mind. No matter what, I was always I missed the camp. I wanted to be back. I missed the environment. I missed the people. I missed the ministry field. Yeah. It was just, I love hosting. I love having people over. Like, I know that's strange sounding as an introvert, but I love just taking care of people. I want to make them happy. I want to see smiles. I want to hear laughter, and I want to make sure that they're taken care of. And so I'm praying intently over this year, holding my son. And I'm just like, I think that's it, God. You're preparing me to return back to the camp. You're helping me see where I need to be in my life. Yep. You're not telling me to stop with streaming. You're not telling me to stop with content creation. You're not telling me to stop with art. You're not telling me to stop with giving Bibles out. You're telling me to balance things better. You're telling me where I need to say no, where I need to say yes. And in the end, content creation is a huge open door to the online world where we at this camp are fairly disconnected. We're in our own little bubble. We hear some news, we pay attention to the news and whatnot, but we're pretty secluded in all things considered. And I'm like, okay, I'm dwelling on it. I'm praying on it. I'm like, God, you're wanting to prepare me to juggle all these things and showing me that if I'm respectful to your time, to my time, my wife's time, my son's time, the camp's time, Stream's time, all of this, then you're going to do something amazing. I have no idea what, but you're going to do something amazing. I just know it. Yeah. And so just as much as it was a step of faith to leave the camp, it was just as much a step of faith to go back to my boss. And we left on good conditions. We left on a good relationship, but I returned to him. I said, hey, this is where I've been the last 3 years. And I want to be back. I love the camp. It's a love that I can't express. It's just, I love it. It's the best. Yeah. And I'm so at home. I'm so comfortable here. It's not just a safety net anymore. I know I can leave and I can survive on my own. I know I can provide for my family.
Huge difference if you're running back there to hide and not be obedient, as opposed to being called back. And yeah, I don't need all of this, but I am here and connected and serving. Yeah, that's totally a great lesson.
And I'm like, it took 3 years to learn this. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm only 29. I'm scared of the next 3 years. That's like the first thing I think of is like, oh no, what's the next 3 years going to be like? But, I approached my boss and I told him that, and, instantly he's like, I talked to them off and on. I would come down to the camp for a week before every summer. Is kind of like my getaway from, unplugging for a week. I'd help them with summer camp setup. There's a lot of maintenance things that need to be done before summer goes, full tilt. And so I was still connected a little bit. But even still, he's like, man, you've really grown up in the last 3 years. And for him to tell that to me,
Oh yeah.
and you know, I respect my boss. I respect boss man like no other. You know, he's been a big influence in my life, and he's given me a lot of grace. He's taught me a lot of valuable lessons. And so for me to hear that from him was, you know, I was just like edge of tears in the Olive Garden that we were eating dinner at, you know. It's like, I don't want to cry in the Olive Garden. It's going to get not in my salad. No.
No,
You know,
and when they come and ask, these breadsticks are just so amazing.
They're soggy, salty. They're great. And so, you know, he not only, you know, offered me a job, he offered me a position that I personally don't feel like I would be good at. But now that I'm looking back, that's what God's been preparing me for. Yeah. He's like, you got two choices. You can either come back to your original position that you used to be at, or I'm in need of a food manager and assistant director. And I'm like, oh. And he said, that's what I need. Which one do you want? He gave me the option. I said, I'm going to be honest. I'll take any job, whatever you feel like I'm the best fit for, because that's what I feel like I need my answer to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, all I know is I'm being called back. All I know is that my love for this camp has not diminished over the 3 years. It's only grown.
Yep.
And that tells me that this is where God wants me to be. It's where God wants me to raise my son, my future kids. It's where God wants me to have as a home base for streaming and painting and sending Bibles out. And it's built on a foundation of Christ. It's built on a foundation of serving others. And what's more powerful than that was my thought. And it's so funny talking to a lot of the staff where I'm online gaming and being a complete ridiculous person.
Right.
And,
right.
you know, I'm still ridiculous in work because I'm a goofball. You know, you can't take that away from me. But it's just a different person. There's sometimes they're like, oh man, it's so weird that you do all that. And I'm like, yeah, but it's me. It's what makes me me. And it's been a really busy last 6 months. It's been about 6 months, 5 months that we've been back. A lot of relearning. I'm mentally healthier than I've been in a long time. I'm physically healthier than I've been in a long time. And most importantly, I'm spiritually healthier. I feel closer to God than I've been in the last 3 years. And except for like the day my son was born, like the day he was born was just unlike any other. You know, it's like, God, you trusted me and Bailey, me and my wife with this child. That's a huge responsibility.
Oh, it's certainly an event that is life-changing. It is.
And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm prepared to be a parent, which everybody, you know, always says, well, you're not.
You're not. No.
You're not. You can try to be prepared. You can put up.
If you wait until you're prepared, you'll never be a parent.
You'll never be a parent. And so I'm like, you thank you for trusting me with raising this child to learn to know you. Because he's not mine, he's yours. And I remember saying that the day that Jeremiah was born, and instantly a lot of clarity just kind of overcame my mind, and thoughts were being more concise and coherent. I was getting a little bit better sleep. It was just all starting to slowly come together. God's like, all right, you're watching me paint from the back of the canvas. You're about to see the front of it. Get ready. We're coming together. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired. My mind, God, hurry up. And he's just like, just wait. You don't rush it. This is all part of the slow cooking process, you know, and you know, it's just, there's a lot I could talk about in the last 6.5 years of streaming and just life in general.
It's been a great conversation. We have stayed a little bit more into the darker side of things, but somebody needs to hear that. Somebody needs to hear that. But one of the other things that was kind of resonating as you were talking several different places of being overwhelmed, doing too much, working too hard, all of those kinds of things. And then all of a sudden, the thing you were striving for is gone. That's a whole lot like the people of Israel aren't giving their Sabbath rest to the land. they're trying to strive. And that's one of the things that I think that we don't think about in that story. This is where I resonate from it. Why are we supposed to rest one day a week? Because we're supposed to acknowledge that God is in control and I'm not. So if I don't start from a place of rest, then I'm starting from my own strength. If I start from a place of rest, then I'm starting from a place of being in God's presence and coming out of that, of relying on him, instead of I work as hard as I can and I crash to sleep so I can get up and work as hard as I can so that I crash. And I mean, you know, and I am fine. I am all fine. So don't hear me say something I'm not. I'm all fine with there is a season where, you know what, the harvest is here and I have to work as hard as I can because rainy season is coming and I'll be able to rest then. So I'm not saying that there's not that aspect of life, because frankly, this week, my wife is going to be going to be with her father. He's having back surgery. She's going to be gone, and I am going to be super busy this week. I've got 3 podcasts this week. It wasn't planned that way, but I was finally able to connect with you. I'm finally able to connect with someone else who, in order to do that podcast, is going to be 11 o'clock at night tomorrow.
Oh,
And I'm in bed at 10. And I'm going to do a podcast at 11 o'clock at night because my wife ain't home and I can put it on my schedule. And I hope it's amazing. I hope it's amazing. I hope I'm not past my bedtime and I'm just going to be dead and going, yeah, so tell me more. Yeah, tell me more. I don't know what else to say. You know, it's, I'm going to have to rely on God tonight, you know. Woo.
yeah, you have to take a nap if you can in the middle of the day to get prepared for tomorrow.
Yeah, but you don't want to see my schedule tomorrow. I teach a class at 8 o'clock. I teach a class at 10 o'clock. I got a podcast at 1 o'clock. The only thing that'll give me rest tomorrow is if the cross-country meet that I'm going to go to my niece's is rained out, or I get rained out from trying to get my bike ride in tomorrow. That's the only place I'm going to find. I will get a little cat nap before the podcast, but you know,
it's okay. Depending on how good the cross country race is going, you could just you're doing great. You do just a little quick 5-minute intervals. My story does have quite a few low points or darker points, and I really, I'm really grateful for those because they make the brighter moments even brighter. Yeah. And for anyone that might be, put down a little bit by my story, just know that I'm so happy where I'm at right now. If it wasn't for those lows, for those lows, I wouldn't be able to be even more grateful in worship for the highs. I know life's not going to be perfect. I'm only 29. All right. I'm not even halfway through my life, God willing, right? If that's what God's plan is. And I know there's going to be more lows. And so right now I'm going to worship God as much as I would worship and call out to him in my lows. And that's probably one of my biggest lessons that I've had to relearn and learn the last few years. And I know there's hope in tomorrow. I know there's hope in Jesus. I know there's hope in God. But sometimes you have to go through those lows to really concrete that into your brain, into your mind. And sometimes you may think that a low isn't a low because everything else is going so great. And that's kind of where things were before I went full-time with streaming. There was something missing when I went full-time. There was something missing, and that was my relationship with God. I wasn't praying before my streams as often as I used to. I'd forget, and I'd do a quick little 2-second prayer after I clicked go live. I wouldn't give him some time first. There was little things, little chinks in the armor that were starting to show because I wasn't being respectful of God's time. And it's good to look back at it now and see that, because now I need that to be a reminder so that I don't fail in that way again. I'm not perfect, but I know that I have to keep up and I have to be respectful of time. That's probably one of my biggest lessons I try to tell people. It's like people are like, oh, I'm gonna stay up all night and game. I'm like, no, go to bed. Don't be me.
Yeah.
You'll have insomnia. Yeah. Don't do it.
Oh, yeah. I could tell you stories that are not good stories from back when I was in my 20s. So no, we learned from those, hopefully.
Yes.
I I did want to ask, because I know you've had some really good moments on stream. So you have like 2 or 3 stories of impact that God has allowed you to have through streaming.
All right. So first thing that comes to mind is a few years ago, this was before Reach Conference was founded, and Romans was reaching out via or in partnership with Compassion International.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how I met Romans. And I think that's where quite a few of the foundation content creators of Reach met him, was from Compassion, doing charity streams and whatnot. He reached out along with Courtney Dahl at Compassion, and they were wanting to try to get streamers together to fundraise for some Compassion events. I had never tried to do any form of charity work, and I was really nervous because it's like, oh gosh, I gotta step up for this charity. It's not just about me; it's for the children, you know. And but what was wild, and I'll kind of combine the 3 charity, or the 2 major charity streams that I was a part of. It was just seeing how much people are willing to come together to support somebody or support a group. I know between the 2 charity streams, I believe my community raised like close to $8,000.
Nice.
That was the most I had ever seen on my stream. At the times, I probably averaged maybe 100 to 200 subs a month, and that was pushing it. Some months were shorter or lower than others, and I'd have some donations. I hadn't really been pushing painting, but those charity streams made me kind of step out of comfort zone of painting, and I started painting and selling those paintings for charity. I was still a noob. I was still painting with Bob, so I didn't want to sell them outright because they're not my original idea, and I didn't want to be robbing of Bob. I don't want to rob his legacy. I respect him too much to do that. But people have been asking to buy some of my art. I'm like, well, I'm not selling it, yada yada. But then these charity streams had an opportunity happen, and that's how Romans started having those wheels a turning for me to have an event on stage all those years ago. Mm-hmm. It's crazy just how all that builds up. But that's a huge high in my life when it comes to the streaming, was doing those Compassion streams. It was about a year after I'd gone full time. And so I was starting to get back up out of that dark place. And at first, when I was asked to do the charity streams, I instantly wanted to say no, because I knew I was going to be surrendering probably a month to 2 months worth of income, because I was going to start plugging that a month beforehand and be like, hey, save your money, save your money, save your money.
Oh, it's it's very hard to do and ask for multiple things. I'm like, here's the one ask. If you're promoting someone else, it's hard to also say, and also give to me.
Yes. And I remember I was told that from one of my close friends. They're like, remember, when you do these charity streams, you need to make sure that you're good financially. Make sure all your ducks in a row, because you're probably not going to get as much income those months. Well, I was nervous about it. But I just had come through this low. I'm like, no, God's here. God is here, and he is real, and he is taking care of me. And I'm like, I will step out in faith in this. And I've never done charity events, but I'm going to make it the best streams I've ever done. And they went wild. They went crazy. Doors were opened with painting. Doors were opened for Bibles to be given out. Doors were opened for people's lives to be changed through Compassion. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know Romans. I wouldn't know most of the streamers I know nowadays. And so that's a huge up in my streaming career, was just those Compassion streams. And I'm waiting for the day that the Compassion comes back for doing charity streams. I've been debating. I did a charity stream for my camp whenever they got hit by a tornado, and we were raising funds for them. And so that's kind of like a little charity event I did, but I'm really excited for whenever Compassion will reach out again, hopefully, and we'll see about doing another one for them, because that was always so fun. I want to say another high of my streaming career was, well, I got 2. And the first one is with painting, because painting is a part of the content and part of my stream and part of my life. I'm just in love with painting so much now. Painting is definitely probably the best decision I've made. It's so good for my mental health. It's so good in just dwelling in the moment thinking about the beautiful creation that God has made of earth. Like, oh man, landscapes are magnificent. It just how did they like it? I cannot comprehend God's mind to be able to make that and allow that to happen. To allow nature to be how it is.
Oh, yeah.
And me trying to paint it is just such a cruel imitation to compared to God. And, you know, it's just such a big moment for me, or just such a great moment for me to just spend time with him. There's a lot of times I just don't paint. I paint on my own, not even on stream. And that's even better for me. And so painting has been such a high. And, you know, the day that I finally started selling originals, and my benefactor, there's several people in my community who donate, who gift, or who give away merch or things that like to be anonymous. They don't want anybody to know who they are. So we kind of tied them all up in a bow as the benefactor. The original benefactor, the OG who started it all, really, he not only bought my first original, he also ordered my first commission. And he said, this is for you to know that there are people out there who believe in you and who like your art and want to support you in your ministry, because the paintings are primarily there as a way that somebody gets something in return for donating. Really, that's what it is. It's like if you're wanting to donate towards what the stream is doing, this is how you can do so. You can buy a painting. You'll get something for trade in return, so you don't feel like you're out of something. And the benefactor, he just opened a door with that, and it shot my confidence through the roof. Mm-hmm. God used him to just launch me to the moon with confidence. I didn't want to stop painting. And it wasn't just because I was getting some income. It was because people liked it.
Right.
And it was just such a peaceful moment. It's like, it's something that I can do that other people also enjoy watching. And the last couple of years that I've been streaming and painting every once in a while, it just always created such a peaceful time where we could just chat and relax. And that's why I got to say that painting is definitely an ultimate high. Working with compassion is an ultimate high point of my stream. And then probably the next one would be when we got the funds to buy our own embosser for Bibles, for naming and personalizing the Bibles. Combined with, I reached out to Crossway, and I was real with them. I was like, my local Bible shop will only give me 10% off Bibles, and I have to buy 50 at a time through them, and I have to leave the Bibles in their shop. I don't like that deal, and they won't work with me in any other way. And they won't let me bring in Bibles that I get from like the BiblesInBulk.com. I can't bring in outside Bibles to be embossed on their machine because liability. I need help. I said, I would love the opportunity for free Bibles from y'all, but any support would be great. And the head of sales, he's the one that got the email, like the whole manager over all the sales. And he said, he forwarded me to now my account handler, Summer, super sweet. She's always on top of things, and said, Summer will get you taken care of. Give him, the major bulk discount we give to churches, but make it to where he can order as many Bibles as he needs. Where a lot of times they limit it where you can only order in bulk count of 24 or more. Right. But they're letting me order in smaller amounts because I may not need that many. And they did not have to do that.
Right.
They did not have to do that, but they're on fire to get Bibles in people's hands. And so we got that permission, or we got that opportunity from Crossway. And then plus we were able to fund buying the embossing machine. And it really just put in perspective of how many people we can reach. And, here recently, it's been a little bit of a stressor because Banana is a Hannah. We all know Banana. She had her story blow up and go viral online. And, millions of people seeing her story, millions of people wanting to encourage her and, donate, support her. And she has my Bibles on her social links. I have ran out of Bibles twice because of that social link, which is such a blessing. It's a little bit of a stressor because I'm like, I'm not prepared for this. I was like, oh no, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. Like, if I hadn't listened to our friend 6 years ago, if I hadn't listened to Caitlin 6 years ago and decided to give Bibles out, the opportunity to do this wouldn't have happened. The stories I've heard from people wouldn't have happened. So those are definitely three of the biggest highs.
Yeah.
And I gotta say my community though, on top of all that, like I have a couple people who stuck with me after the initial crash when I went full time, and those are the real ones. They've been with me for years, nearly since I started, 6 years. In fact, one of my longtime supporters, Kinko, is coming down to visit this weekend. We're going to go pick him up. He's going to hang out with us. And I've known him since he was like 16 in high school.
Nice.
And now he's in the military, and he's a grown up and doing grown up things. And I said, "Hey, King, it'd be cool if we hung out in real life." He's like, I have leave. If you're willing to hang out, I'll fly down to you. And I'm like, say more. And so like, I'm really, really excited about that. But then also the people who have found me after my huge low of my mental and my spiritual, the people who God has placed in my life have saved me in so many ways that they'll never realize, or they'll probably never understand. I could be here another 4 hours talking about how much they've saved me in so many different ways, and how God has used them in all the ways that he's used them. And so if it wasn't for the amazing people that took a chance to listen to this goofball self and hang out with me, I still wouldn't be doing this, because I'm here because of course God called me to be here, but I'm also here for them.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of it is
so
being
good.
for people.
And I think on some level, when you're starting and you're trying to pursue it for yourself, it's never going to be satisfactory and long lasting if what you're doing is, I need to be it, because then you do, like you were finding out, I had to put 18-hour days in. I had to do all of this, and it didn't pay off the way that you were hoping and thinking there.
Yeah, it did not. I thought there would be way more return for my hours and for my lack of sleep, my missed moments and opportunity with my wife. And now there's effects from that I'm having to unlearn. I'm having to reteach myself how to act in certain ways. Being basically chronically online for 3 years straight, it does a lot to you mentally.
Yeah.
Way more than I thought, way more of a change to me than I thought over 3 years. And so that's definitely been something to be easing through, is getting back into, listening to God way better, following his plan way better, realizing he kind of knows what he's talking about. I guess I should listen. It's like almost created the universe, what do you know? Realizing that he does know quite a bit, and I need to listen a little bit better.
Yeah. Just thinking through. So I know you were talking about the sending the Bible earlier, and a story of impact with that the person who got it, and a couple of years later being able to finally say, "Oh, well, God's got this. I'm listening to God. I'm pursuing Him." Do you have other stories where you've had impact with other people in your community? It doesn't have to be as dramatic. It could be anything small, where because of either you or your community or something God did in that space, that is just a really cool story about what God is up to in digital spaces.
So one recent opportunity, or one recent event that happened, was I had a painting paid for to be given away to the community.
Okay.
And we had some spiritual talks throughout the stream, and I was trying to make it interesting. The painting had been paid for, but I wanted to make a challenge. Like we've been playing this game called Peak. I think you've probably heard of it. And the goal is to get to the top of the mountain and escape. Well, I said, I will give away this painting if I reach the peak by the end of tonight's stream. If I reach the peak, my character has got to be up there. The team can't win. I got to be up there. Well, on top of like this challenge, there's also was some serious conversations that were happening, some spiritual conversations that just kind of poofed in, which is just, again, that's just how it works in my streams. It's just out of nowhere. Somebody will come in and ask a question about God. And so all this had been happening through some shenanigans. I got to the peak. We may have cheated a little bit in the game, but it was speedrun strats, so it technically was allowed.
Oh, well, okay. Speedrun. You didn't say that. So, yeah, we're good on a speedrun.
Yeah, exactly. It's speedrun strats. We just did some glitches. It's fine.
My daughter hates when I exploit glitches that are in there. And it's like, excuse me, if they wanted the game without glitches, they could have made the game without glitches. I get to take advantage of them. I'm sorry that I'm aware of them.
And that's kind of how it was with Peak. You could cheese the game before a patch. You could launch yourself out of the cannon at the very starting stage, and you could just suddenly be at the top of the peak.
Oh yeah.
And my original plan was, I specifically had said I have to see the peak biome title show up on my screen, and I'll give away the painting. So my plan was I was going to make it to the top, and then I was going to accidentally fall off the mountain and make everybody think that, oh no, I can't give away the painting. Well, we did some research and we found out that the devs had patched this particular exploit where you couldn't go from
just followed.
PB, thank you for the follow.
We couldn't just go from the very beginning stage all the way to the top. We could only skip stages with the four or five stages in between. So we ended up getting to the final part, and then I was able to escape, and we gave away the painting. But through that, the young man, I don't know, I feel weird saying the young man, the viewer who won the painting asked for a Bible.
Oh.
He said, from all the conversations that have been happening and just me knowing you for so long, can I ask for a Bible? I said, absolutely. Click on that little link. You go to my website, you get that Bible ordered. I'll send it with your painting. Not only are you going to get a painting, you're going to get a Bible. And, I was so excited. I messaged the benefactor who paid for this painting. And I said, hey, you got a Bible into somebody's hand who didn't have one because of that painting.
Yeah.
Just think of the possibilities, and having a little geek out moment with them, and just being so excited that we're able to get a Bible into people's hands is just exciting and exhilarating. And following that with Banana, with all these people ordering Bibles, I've gotten so many people ordering Bibles that have said, because of Banana's story, I feel like God is real.
Yeah.
And I want to know more. Yeah. And I see that you have Bibles.
Well,
and I can't afford one. So
the question came up. Someone said, I'm not aware of Banana's story. We're not going to share Banana's story. I just confirmed earlier today, Banana will be on the podcast next month. So you'll have to stay tuned. And those that are not here live will have to wait, and it'll come out whenever it comes out. Actually, let me go look a second so I can confirm anybody that's here. What date did we? So October 10 at 12 p.m. Eastern is when that podcast is going to be. So October 10. So not too long. So
just a couple weeks.
It's a couple weeks.
It's a good story. It's worth it. It's worth it to come and hear that story.
Yeah, and the podcast will be out later at some point. It probably will be November by the time that podcast comes out. So just to give you a heads up, I've got a whole bunch in the can. I just release one a week. So if you are listening to this one and then you're going, when is it coming out? This one will probably be out after October 10 anyway. So you won't get the announcement on the VOD. You'll be afterwards. So apologies for that, but that's just how it happens if you're not here live. That's one of the pluses of being here live. A cliffhanger for next month. Exactly.
Dun, dun, dun. You'll cry. The story will make you cry. That's right. No,
well,
here for the emotions.
Yes. Well, there's nothing wrong with a good cry, and especially if you're touched. I mean, Jesus several times is moved with compassion. And I think that's one of the things we're able to do is move other people with compassion when we resonate and connect with what God is up to or the needs that people have and those kinds of things. So,
I mean, I know for me, whenever I do big events, a couple years ago, I did I did a subathon, ended up going for like 6 days straight.
Woo!
One sub equaled 5 minutes is all I had done. So you can do the math on that because my brain can't. So 6 days of just straight streaming. And I remember just after I ended that stream being so exhausted and I passed out, I woke up and I was just in tears because of how much of a blessing it was.
Yeah.
I had those 2 dry, the whole year of just drought spiritually, emotionally. And I had tried something new with the content. I had taken a step of faith again, not relying on Siege, not relying on me. And, God doing his thing, he blessed the channel with all that. And because of the income of that, I was able to, the summer months are very dry when it comes to, donations or subs or incomes for my channel anyway. And so I knew that it was going to be a tough summer, but then all this gifting happened and the subathon went for so long. I didn't have to worry about that. And so now after crazy donations happen or people buy a painting or people gift a ton of subs, I keep the emotion in. I'm taking it in and I'm doing really well. But normally whenever I'm done with stream and I've done processed it and I've thanked God, I'm just in tears. I'm normally weeping.
Yeah.
And it's just because I don't know what else to do besides just, cry out to God and say, thank you for continuing to provide. Thank you for continuing to have that security. And it's something that I just can't help myself, but cry tears of joy for.
Yeah.
And, it's great.
Yeah. Tears of joy are, not often appreciated. I didn't grow up like I grew up with you're crying? Well, I'll give you something to cry about. That's the way I grew up. So, tears of joy are not like I actually still at times like I'll get to the end of a really good movie and something joyous will happen and I'm just like, why are my eyes sweating? My eyes are sweating. What's wrong with me? And
what is this? Emotions?
yes,
I thought that was beaten out of me. No. But my dad would say that. My dad would say that growing up. If something was really emotional, he'd be like, "Oh, is this emotions? I thought that was beaten out of me as a child." And it's just like, Dad, maybe you should go to therapy. He's like, "No, I'm fine."
I do my therapy like Teddy Roosevelt. I go out in the woods and I chop down something and kill something.
Must be man.
Yes.
Oh man.
Well, if we have more stories, we can keep going. But otherwise, I was going to say just to kind of lead towards wrapping it up. Is there anything that you wanted to share that we haven't talked about?
Oh, I think I've gone over about everything in a good general sense without dragging on for too long. I do apologize if I get a little bit scatterbrained, everybody. It's a lot going on up there.
All good.
Probably one of the biggest things I'd love to share is, reach.
Yeah, go for it.
Reach. Here in the beginning of November, I'm going to be painting there. We're going to be doing meet and greets. We're going to be hanging out live in person for 3 days. I don't know if do you have reach, exclamation reach, or a command for that? I can do.
I do on my regular channel. I do not think I don't know if I have it on this channel. No, I don't have it over here.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can put the link in there.
Yeah, get the link in there because y'all can go to the website and you can check out what's going on there. I'm going to be painting on stage. We're going to be painting and having a good time, having punishments, and it's going to be madness, and it's going to be fun. And hopefully we can come out with some good paintings at the end of it. And I believe those paintings will be given away at the end of the Reach conference. I'm also going to be having a booth there where I'm going to have another easel set up, and I'm going to be painting with people if you want to learn how to paint or just try it yourself, or maybe you're a painter yourself and you want to add your own little twist to a painting that I'm going to be having going on there. So That's probably my biggest plans that I have right now when it comes to painting and IRL stuff. This weekend I'm going to be starting a costume-a-thon. So, over the next couple weeks, if you want to see me looking absolutely ridiculous, swing on by.
There we go.
You never know. You might see me in a Lore Farquaad costume or an inflatable T-Rex costume. We'll find out. I'll be goofy and you'll get a good laugh. It's okay. I laugh at my own expense all the time too, because I know how foolish I am.
Yeah.
I know I would love to ask for prayers for people, from people for the stream as we just continue to go down this path where I've been playing Siege a little bit more. I want to make sure that I'm keeping my boundaries correct. I want to make sure that I'm not overstepping. I'm not trying to take control of God's plan. I really believe that, God has kind of catered me to do well in that community. And I've just been running away from it for the last few years. And it's time that, the last few months I've been standing up and facing that fear. And I would just love prayers, as that community needs a lot of love. The Siege community needs a lot of love. A lot of the gaming communities need a lot of love. But for me, I know personal experience that Siege is full of a lot of not great people. And they need God. And we all need God, but man, they really need it. And so just be praying for me, and just be praying for the Reach streamers as we're all getting ready to meet up, or we're all getting ready for this raid train that's been going on to get word out about Reach. And I know for me, like the rest of the year, my plan is just to be a goofball and have fun. Pain away.
There we go.
So that's what I'm good at, and that's what I'll keep doing.
Yeah. I love watching painting. I really wish I had more time to do that. I do not understand. Like, if I think through logically, like, oh, here's why, or here's this, I do not understand why I am just enamored with watching people paint. I mean, my wife and I love to go to art auctions, or it's probably more so me than her. But I drag her along, and we enjoy doing that. But I've had the occasion of watching really big name artists paint live, and it is such a fascinating thing. I'm trying to think of the name of one of the artists. Anyway, he is authorized to paint, Stephen Fishwick, that's it. He's authorized to paint for the World Wildlife Foundation. He's authorized to paint individually before they all became under Disney. He was authorized to paint for Lucasfilms. He's authorized to paint for Disney. He's authorized to paint for Pixar. He is like the most authorized painter there is. And he had this awesome thing at one of the art auctions we went to. He had a canvas and he just had paint there, and he said, everybody take and do whatever you want on the canvas. And then he took it back to his hotel room that night, and he made it into the most beautiful thing. It was amazing. He painted over the top of it, emphasized stuff, muted other stuff, and made it into this beautiful painting of a rhinoceros.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it was so good. And it was like up on stage, and I could see right where I put my line right through the middle, because I wanted a really obnoxious yellow line through the middle of it.
And yellow is your favorite color.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For your hat.
Yes. So it's like, it was just beautiful right there. It's like, oh my goodness, he turned my squiggly line and everybody else's mayhem into beauty. And I think that's what God does in our lives. And I don't know if that's why I love the beauty of art and the process of it, is because I can't see it. And I'm just watching intently to see what the outcome is. I don't know if that's it. I don't know. I cannot figure out why I love watching live art, but
I think that's probably a good guess, because I know for me, that's one of the most satisfying things as I've been, because I've only painted, I say only, I've only painted like 83 paintings.
Only 83. Yeah.
Only 83. Comparatively to others, like Bob, he was painting three paintings per episode of his Joy of Paintings series. And that was not counting the concepts that he would have to paint. And he would have to paint 2 of those concepts. He still taught a class nearly every other day or every day. And he's painting or teaching like 2 classes a day. He's still doing charity painting events. He was painting over and over and over and over and over. Right. And so, in the scale of other artists, I haven't painted that much. And I know for me, the most satisfying thing as I've been learning and refining my art style and figuring out where I want to take it, where I want to change things, how I want to make things better, is my mind's eye. Learning how to take what I'm imagining and putting it on canvas is the most satisfying thing ever. Because it's like I've taken something that it's blank, it's empty, there's nothing there. And now I've painted this landscape. There, you could imagine sitting there and looking at this view, and it's a romanticized version of it's like romanticized realism for landscapes, but it's the style that I just love to paint. And so I think you got it right there, where you just love seeing the process of it going from nothing or just squiggles to suddenly it's this beautiful rhinoceros. And like I'm trying to think how I would even start that. Like it took him overnight. It would take me months to do something like that. Yeah. Right. What a master of his craft. Like that's so cool.
Well, just to give you encouragement, he also has ADHD. And so he, like, I don't know any other artist that I've heard of that does this. He requires them when he comes in to have multiple canvases available so he can be painting 4 and 5 paintings at the same time, because his brain will jump from one painting to another in the middle of what he's painting. He will jump from canvas to canvas, go over here and paint, go over there and paint. And so like, it's like he comes out like with his shirt that's all covered with the paint because he was up in his hotel room. He's here to talk to us and share with us. But while he's in the hotel room, his brain is just painting. It's just,
you know what? Honestly, that sounds great. Because there's so many times I'm working on one artwork and I'm thinking of where I could take it and all the different paths and all the different options that I could take it. And I'm like, well, no, if I do that, then it's going to ruin this for the foreground. So the idea of having a couple of canvases laid out to where if I have that idea, but I don't want it for this particular painting, but I don't want to lose it.
Yes.
And I could toss it on something. That's I may have to try that.
Yeah,
you may have inspired me to try something. There you go. His story through you may have just inspired me to
multi canvases. Well, I do know another friend who she's down at the local artisan market, so she's doing these little minis, and she'll set up the minis on this tray that she has. So they're probably 5x5s, if I guess right, and she'll take one color, and she's got photos of what she's painting above each one. But she'll take the color and run from which one to the next, and paint part of it, keep the same color, go to the next one, paint with the same color as she's putting multiple paintings together at the same time. So
that's fun. Yeah. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah. Like I said, I love watching people make art. It's fun. I don't know.
Probably one of my favorite, if anybody out here likes crafting channels, Bolai Hobby Time on YouTube. He's a Christian, and he is phenomenal. It's spelled weird. I think it's like Boylei Hobby Time. He makes miniature scales and works with like mini landscapes. He does a lot of cool things. All right, like one of my favorite series that he does is called The Wild Imaginary West, where he kind of combines the steampunky vibe with the good old cowboy vibe, but with also monsters or animals that are like quadruple the size of what they are IRL.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool. Like the thinking process to imagine that is so cool. And he every once in a while he'll put something at the end of his videos where he's like, I'm a Christian, and if you ever want to talk about it, here's my email. You can email me. And he has like nearly 2 million subs, and he does that. And I'm like, what bravery, because sometimes people get targeted so hard on YouTube for standing up like that. And it's a big deal. But if you like crafty stuff, I recommend Bolai Hobby Time. It's pretty great.
All right.
So,
well, cool, man. This has been a blast hanging out and chatting. There's so many different things, and I think God is just really, really moving in gaming space right now. He's been preparing a lot of people. there are some pioneers, and you talked about some of them like Dustin and Susie and others who were out there a long time, but you also were a forerunner. You saw some of them, you stepped into the space, and some of us are much newer, and there's still plenty who are coming behind us that,
Oh yeah.
the tsunami of Christians in gaming is just starting. The water's going out, and I'm just, playing around. But
It's good. You're making sense to me. I'm following. I'm following with it. This is great.
Yeah. But honestly, I really do feel like every time I look around, there are more and more Christian streamers, and
Yeah.
I had been on that search when I first jumped in, because why am I here? Why am I in this space? Seeing others that were struggling and not having support where they were at, which is one of the reasons why I do this podcast, is to bring people on, talk about the struggles, talk about the lows, talk about the highs, talk about what God is up to, so that you're not alone. There are others who are already doing this that God has called. There are some who are going to come behind and hear your story, and it's exactly what they need to be able to get them through the thing that they're going through. And then it's going to inspire people. I mean, I can't even imagine the kids who are growing up today who are thinking about in elementary school, because I had a conversation recently about kindergarten kids talking about wanting to grow up and be in esports. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that, because it's a foreign world to the world I grew up in. So how many Christian esports or gamers do we need? And how many missionaries do we need? I mean, it's like God's got us right where we need to, so that wave going in to reach people, all the gamers globally, God's got it. And it's going to be cool over the next 3 years, like you were saying. Like, what's going to happen in 3 years? Oh, man.
Well, we're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
One way or another. And
Yeah.
I know with like this new age of Christian streamers coming up, we definitely have to be in prayer for them.
Yeah.
Because they're so like we all are. We're so susceptible to wanting to run things our way, and we got to be in prayer for them, because we need to make sure that they're doing things for the right reasons, that they're digging into their word and their scriptures. And I've recently had a couple of younger Christian streamers coming and asking me questions, DMing me and getting my input, and so I'm glad that God has put me through what I'm going through, like you were saying earlier, where my story can hopefully inspire somebody or give them, a guideline, give them a guide wire. Because I remember for me, trying to find people I could relate with was so difficult. It was like I'm playing with other Siege streamers, and they're not at this, either if they're Christian, they're not at the same point in their relationship with God as I am, or I'm playing with people who just don't believe in that, or they just don't care about it. And it always just felt lonely. But now as I've been able to find people, God's put people in my life, Christian streamers in my life, where we could grow together, it's been great. And we just got to remember to be praying for them, that they don't shy away from others trying to be there for them, other Christians trying to be there for them, because we need others. We need each other. We need to be the body.
Yeah, we were not meant to do this alone. We are the body. Absolutely. I love saying friends on mission. That's what we are. I stole that from somebody else, but I'll just keep repeating it anyway.
It works.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep. So you're talking about prayer. One of the things with the Church Digital that we are doing is we are, and this has been our theme all year, is at 10:02, because Luke 10:2, Jesus says, pray for the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into the harvest. So if anyone wants to join us in this, every day at 10:02, whatever your time zone is, just pray for God to send out more workers into the harvest. You're in Twitch, then please pray specifically for more Christian streamers and mods and people in the chat and in the DMs to be able to be, workers for the harvest in that space. So, yeah, I think we covered a whole lot. We do have a couple of conferences with the Church Digital. We've got, just go to Missionary.digital. You can find out about those. We had our first one last week, which was reaching your digital neighborhoods. The one that's this Wednesday is Control, Alt, Recover. I'm really excited about that and seeing where God is going to lead us in recovery ministry in the next couple of years, because there's so many people that need to go overcome whatever's going on in their life or addictions in their life. You know, trauma that they've had, or there's so many ways that the recovery impacts a lot of people. So we're starting to step into that. Then we'll have our Europeans Friend Conference, the October 1st, and then the Digital Gaming Summit that I will be leading and hosting on October 8th. So if you want more info on that, check it out at missionary.digital. So
that's sick. That's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. I got a lot of stuff.
That.
I got a lot of stuff.
I'll be praying for that. Like, I'm writing it down.
Yes. Please include me in your prayers, man. I appreciate that.
I will. I'll put flat cap. Digital ministries very busy. I think that covers that fairly well.
Covers that, yes. And it's, well, like, I had no plans to do a podcast at Reach last year. Like, yeah. I wasn't sitting around saying, yeah, let me do a podcast. Like, no, I listen to podcasts. Those are some things I'm supposed to consume. I'm not supposed to be doing a podcast. I had people would suggest, I'm like, what am I supposed to talk about? Like, what am I going to give to people? And then it was like, wait a minute, I want to highlight my friends. Now I know what to now I know what to do. I just bring my friends on, talk about what God's done, what God's up to, and let other people know God's in this space. It's legit. And if God calls you, jump in and do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
If you keep trying to prepare and make things perfect, you're not even going to do it.
Yeah. All right. I'm just trying to see who is on the schedule right now for. So normally, we would just raid out, and I would let the person that's on the podcast pick who we're going to go and raid. But since we have the Reach Conference raid train going on, I was thinking we will just raid over there. So what do we have?
I agree. That's great.
Okay. That's Life. Slife is on. So.
All right. Sick. I just wanted to also say, y'all, Flat Cap has been very patient with me in getting this podcast scheduled and getting this conversation scheduled. And I just would like to ask those who are here if you could get some hearts in the chat for Flat Cap, for being so graceful and so patient with me. I'm a mess right now with my life and scheduling, and I'm very grateful that he's willing to have me here and listen to me jabber on and then also add on and encourage me. It's been a huge encouragement for me, and so I'm very grateful for you. I really do. Really,
oh yeah, man, absolutely. Well, and like we were chatting before we jumped on. Like, my whole approach to this is I want it to work for the person that I'm having on. You don't need to bend to my schedule. I will work for your schedule. And I know that's not the best for me building a community here on this channel, because the people that are coming don't know when I'm going to be on until I advertise the week or two ahead of time and say, here's the next one, so you can plan on it. But I really think it's what God's placed the way that I should do it, is to meet the need and the space and the timing of the community or the guest. And then I bend and make it work. So that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, it really helped me out. I can say that it really did help me out. I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate you. I'm looking forward to, we're 42 days away or something like that.
I still got 13 more paintings to get done. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be great.
Maybe you need to set up 3 at a time, and you'll get them done faster.
I think I'm gonna. So that way it could be fun. We could do some interesting things.
Right. All right. Awesome, man. I'm gonna play a quick promo as we go out here, and we go over to raid. So I'll play that real quick so that anybody that's going, I'm not so sure of what you were talking about on the summit coming up for everything, but let me find the promo here and play that for you shortly.
You know what it means to do ministry. You also know what it means to be a gamer. And you know what it means to try to share Jesus in that space. I mean, you're doing it. You're in the lobbies, you're on Discord, you're in game chats, you're trying to be encouraging in your live stream chat. You're trying to bring hope into that stream. You're praying for the person behind the handle. Gaming might be the medium, but discipleship is the true mission. And you feel like you're doing this by yourself. But imagine you weren't doing it alone. You've got backup. Imagine you were equipped and resourced and linked with others who know that discipleship can happen where you're at, where other players are gathering. Imagine that your passion is coordinated. You can have fun and be intentional on your streams. What if there was a summit built just for you, for digital missionaries in the gaming world? What if you were not just playing together, but you were actually building the kingdom together? That is DMCon, a digital space for gamers who disciple and disciples who game. If you've ever questioned whether games could be sacred ground, this is your confirmation. The digital spaces you inhabit can become communities of belonging, healing, and gospel transformation. Jesus is already in the game. Let's discover where together. You're not alone. Come and see who else is with you right now. Register for DMCon today.
All right, so you couldn't see or hear that, but unless you had it pulled up. Anyway, so I just noticed, and Andy is there. Andy's over, Chino Mage is with Slife in the chat there. So we'll go over there so you can say something to Andy about it. Andy will be on the podcast tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the conference tomorrow. So that'll be 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow on the podcast. Then 11 p.m. tomorrow night will be Redeem J on the podcast. So that's what's coming up with the Church Digital. And I appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much. Let's go and join the Reach Conference raid, and you can learn more about what's going on over there. So thank you, everybody.